Hello, everybody. Welcome. How are we all doing on this Tuesday? Everybody doing well? Let me see here. Let me get some stuff written up. Like, for example, welcome, Greggernauts. Hee hee hee. Let's see here. What other nice colors do I got? Ooh, a purple. How are y'all feeling about a purple for this one? Ooh. A certain romance. What other colors can we get in here? Not too bad. What's up, everybody? We are, let's see here. I should probably finish doing some testing and stuff, right? Let's see here. I'm also going to have a snack because I, high-key forgot to eat and I'm hungry. I have a vegetarian friend who turned me on to just carrots dipped in peanut butter, and it's actually really good. Highly recommend. Don't knock it till you try it, I guess is kind of what I say. Hee hee hee. We're just doing our test on everything first. So check, 1, 2. You guys hear that? Okay. So check, 1, 2. Guys. Yes, you can. Let's I know we'll probably have to do some electric guitar stuff in here, so I will definitely just give that a quick test, and I guess we'll be pretty much off to the races, right? I really got to give this guitar a setup. I'm pretty sure some of the upper frets kind of are coming, like they kind of lose intonation a little bit. And honestly, that's a skill I've been putting off for a long time, like learning how to set up my own guitars. But like, I think it's time. I think this time is like, I'm just gonna do it, man. Like, I can't really afford to be paying people to do that for me anymore, right? So how's this? Can you guys hear that? That for me anymore, right? So how's this? Can you guys Yes, you can indeed hear that. Okay. Awesome. So, this is the fun part where we start hopping in, right? Okay, so opinion on cigarettes. Weak you. Oh, I thought you were talking about. Isn't there an Arctic Monkey song called like "Cigarette Smoker Fiona" or something like that? Yeah, "Cigarette Smoker Fiona" off the EP. I thought maybe that's what you were talking about. I don't smoke. And if you do, I mean, as you know, Jimeno from Chainsaw Man says, life is sweeter with a little bit of addiction. So I won't judge, but I would encourage you, if you want to quit, if quitting's on your mind, that you can do it. I believe in you. That's where I'm at. Let me turn on the noise cancellation so hopefully you guys won't just hear all my gross chewing. So let's start here. I think I'm kind of refined with the way that we start these live streams. I think we'll start with like a conversation of like, man, where we're at. So with the song, right? We're starting these live streams with some music appreciation, right? And some songwriting analysis. Because of course we're gonna get into some music theory stuff. And of course we're gonna get into some of the, that those kinds of things. But music appreciation and song analyses go a lot deeper than just that. It's not just always about the chords. It's not just always about the notes and the melodies. It's about the lyrics, the production, the performances, the cultural significance, the cultural relevance. Like what was happening contemporaneously at the time that the Arctic Monkeys were hitting the scene, and where were we all when we heard them, right? For the first time. So where do the Arctic Monkeys sit in like musicology and music history? Where do they sit in our own personal history too? I'll say, mm, sorry you guys think I'm so gross for eating. I appreciate you bearing with me on this. I'm almost done with this carrot, by the way. See, I remember first hearing the Arctic Monkeys. Um, I was in middle school in like, I don't know, man. It was like 2008. I was in middle school or something like that. And I was a kid teaching himself guitar using the internet, in my parents' basement, growing up doing that. And it took me a long time to even discover like the Strokes, actually. I was definitely one of those kids who like grew up on my dad, sharing classic rock with me. And I loved classic rock, of course. And it kind of got to that like toxic opinion that a lot of like people get to at certain points of their lives where it's just like, man, new music sucks. Hasn't anyone heard of Rush? Kind of thing. Um, Kind of person, you know what I mean? Like, man, back if only music was still made like it was back in the 60s and the 70s and or even the 90s, whatever. Um, and I eventually, of course, found out and learned that, oh, there's actually still amazing music being made all the time. It's just not played on the radio anymore. How about that? For various reasons, which we won't get into. But I remember I have already been playing guitar for a couple of years and grew up my whole life as like a massive like classic rock fan. And I remember just like being on YouTube, like looking up, just like all kinds of like videos of great older songs and stuff. And I remember actually getting the notification or the suggestion of like the Strokes last night or something like that. And I clicked on it and I was like, oh, nice. Like another great, old band. See, once again, these guys are probably what, from the mid to late 70s, or they look like it, they sound like it, like it's just once again proving that music, you know, it was just so much better back in the day. And I immediately was like, this is awesome. This band definitely fucking rocks. And then I was like, when did this come out? And I was like, what, 2001? Wait, hold on a second. My mind was being blown, right? Mind was being blown. And then I went and clicked on the next video I saw, which was You Only Live Once. And I was like, wait a second, this song fucking goes even harder. What the hell's going on? And I checked 2006 and I'm like, wow, my brain was blown. This is amazing music, some of the best music I've heard in my life. And it came out just a couple years ago. Again, this was like 2008. I was in middle school. And that just sent me on this huge journey where like contemporary music, modern music, underground music became like my life and my passion. And somewhere along the way, again, I was like teaching myself guitar, and I definitely had heard of Arctic Monkeys at the time. But I had heard of Arctic Monkeys kind of in a forum here or there being mentioned in the comment, but I never actually got around to listening to them yet because I really just kind of started my Strokes phase and discovering, other bands like, I don't know, Black Keys, White Stripes, all kinds of other great, modern rock bands. Um, I do remember I had heard the Strokes earlier with Reptilia, and I loved Reptilia. That's absolutely true. Playing it on Guitar Hero 3. So then when we came back around on the Strokes a couple years later, I was like, wow, Strokes are great. Reptilia was great. Now this song, and again, playing Guitar Hero 3, it's called Legends of Rock. And I was like, yeah, this is probably a 70s or an 80s rock band, right? No. Anyway, I actually remember I had an older cousin who was hanging out with me. He was in college at the time, and he was kind of going back and forth between college to um from college to our house because he was like working at the cafe we owned on the weekends. He was a really cool guy, and he also was really into music and played guitar and stuff. And I remember, he's my older cousin, probably like 20, 21, 22, something like that. I don't know. And I am just a kid, like, 12 in middle school, just getting into modern music and teaching myself guitar and stuff. And he played for me in the car. It was just him and me, Fluorescent Adolescent. And when I tell you that, I was like, can we listen to that again? It was the first Dr. Monkey song I had ever really heard, was Fluorescent Adolescent in the car. And I was like, oh man, it was so incredible. It, like, my mind was blown, like as blown as when I had heard those Stroke songs for the first time, right? Um, Hello, new friends. Sorry you can't stay for long, but thank you for stopping by. It's always great to see you. Anyway, and when I tell you that that night, like, this was a school night, I stayed up all night. I think I got zero sleep that night, because I was just like, had my, my iPod Touch at the time. Funny, 2008, right? iPod Touch, like under the covers, like just reading the lyrics, reading about Arctic Monkeys, listening to the song with my earphones a million times. And just by the time I went to school the next morning, I think I had gotten 0 hours of sleep, and then had also memorized the entire of the lyrics of Fluorescent Adolescent. So ever since then, big fan of the Arctic Monkeys, of course. This was before Humbug even came out. So granted, of course, I had the help of a cool older cousin, but like little 12-year-old me felt like the coolest shit for, being real early on the Arctic Monkeys train. So I love Arctic Monkeys deeply. They play a special place in my heart, indeed. That being all said, let's listen to the song. Let's listen to A Certain Romance. Oh, hope you got your car out, Romano. Alicia, I'm glad you feel me that first time you hear the Strokes, you'd think they were not a modern band. I mean, that was a big part of their allure in the beginning. Well, yeah. The Beatles and TMBJ. I don't even know who TMBJ is. What is TMBJ? Oh, they might be Giants. Wow. I like TMBJ too. Anyway, I like TMBJ. They're good. Never got too into them, but I like the music from them I've heard. So now, yeah, like I said, let's take a listen to A Certain Romance and just like kind of gush over a little bit. And knowing how, much of a emphasis well, yeah. There's a big focus when it comes to talking about the Arctic Monkeys on lyrics. So I definitely think it's very possible that we might be taking a solid look at the lyrics of this song too and discussing those. But now let's just hop into this and just like take a listen and appreciate how good this song is and gosh, about the performances and everything. Man, I'm already excited because I know that this song just has such a cool structure to it. You know what I mean? Like punky, isn't it? It's actually kind of like a punk post-hardcore kind of thing to it. then breaking out into this clean, like, chordal section. So interesting. For a rock band in the mid-2000s. It's the absolute juke. Is that a diminished chord or is that a minor 4? I love that. I love like the offbeat guitar. It reminds me of like, I don't know, man, like percussive MIDI sound. Like for me, like puts me in a place of like hearing like, I don't know, a guitar beat or something. Puts you in the scene. Okay, the bass line in the song goes really hard, doesn't it? So that there's new ringtones and it don't take no Sherlock Holmes to see it's a little different around here. Don't get me wrong, though, there's boys in bands and kids who like to scrap with pool cues in their hands. And just 'cause he's remember when Alex Turner sounded like this? He thinks it's alright to act like a dickhead, don't you know? Oh, it's a funny thing, you know. Tell them if you like, we'll tell them all tonight, they'll never listen, because their minds are made up, and course it's all okay to carry on that way, but I said no, oh no, well you won't get me to go, not anywhere, not anywhere, no I won't go, oh no, no. Finally putting that bass line right up front. Well, over there's friends of mine. What can I say? I've known them for a long, long time. And it might overstep the line, but you just cannot get angry in the same way. No, not in the same way. So not in the same way. Oh no, oh no, no. I don't know if this part kind of calls back to the beginning. I mean, never really go back to that beginning, really. Imagine being in one of those like early club shows and having it played with something like that. Goes through that third guitar coming in as an overdub. Is that the only place in the album where there's 3 guitars where they add a third one? Yeah, minor 4. I love, let me say, maybe this is ridiculous for me to love this so much, but the fact that you can hear just ever so slightly at the end of that song, like getting ready for that final chord, you can hear the little pick noise getting ready to hold that final chord. You know, like I have no idea. Is this in this key of A? I don't know. I don't know what key it's in, but like how you kind of like you can hear it go. You can hear that, right? Like, oh man, I love that. Like that, I think maybe was one of the first times when I was younger I heard something like that, that where I felt and noticed like, hey, whoa, is that a mistake that they left in? I don't know. Like there was a rawness to it that like just jumped out to be very, very, very apparent. Like, wow, how cool they just left that in there. I can hear them get ready to hit that chord. It's such a funny little thing to latch onto, but I love that for some reason. Song always made me sad because it feels nostalgic. You knew the album was almost over. Dude, I know. I agree. It's such a good closer, though, that you want to get hype. And then, yeah. Let's see here. Hey, Humbug93, I'm happy you're here. Hope you have a good time. Glad I was able that, you need this video, and here it is for you. Hey, I'm so happy to be doing an Arctic Monkeys song, Ezequias Braga. I love Arctic Monkeys. As I said, I kind of went on a little bit of rant in the beginning of this, saying how much I actually have always loved Arctic Monkeys, been a big fan of them for a long time, even since before Humbug came out. I felt like the coolest 12-year-old knowing about the Arctic Monkeys. And then, of course, by the time I got to like senior year of high school and AM came out, and all of a sudden everyone was talking about Arctic Monkeys, and like all like all the fake fans were just like, "Oh my god, I love Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High," and stuff. And I'm like, "You guys are fake Arctic Monkeys fans, bandwagon fans." Yeah. I would love to talk about Humbug. I would love to talk about Tranquility Base. I think Tranquility Base is absolutely stellar. It's amazing. I think it is still underrated. I know a lot of Arctic Monkeys fans have kind of come around on loving TBHC, but I think it's a phenomenal piece of work that I would love to discuss, especially like getting into like the analysis of like the through line of the album and the concept of it all. I would love to discuss that. This bass line is to Arctic Monkeys what the bass line is to the Strokes. I can definitely see that. I do actually think Arctic Monkeys frequently has kind of more iconic bass lines more frequently, mostly because they're definitely more like riff based in a lot of the stuff that they write. They have just more riffs where it's kind of like, yeah, the rock band with the bass part, the guitar part, the bass part, the rhythm guitar part, the lead guitar part. Whereas the Strokes don't really write like that. The Strokes are much more kind of like this orchestral arranged SATB kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, minor, major, etc. Yeah. Beatlesian finish. Yes, it is quite a Beatlesque finish. Okay. So, I mean, something that is so awesome about that song is the I mean, the way that it starts with this like bombastic, those drums, like very tribal, you know, drum circle kind of thing, right? With all the toms and everything. And man, Matt Helders, what a drummer. And then he come in with this, which kind of like, honestly, if you think about it, it's kind of like a reggaeton beat, you know. Do da da do da da do dum dum. Boom, 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 boom. It's kind of like a reggaeton kind of rhythm, but just really sped up, you know. Yeah, anyway. um and then it just like breaks out into this anyway, like that part has again this kind of like hardcore, post-hardcore punk 90s kind of situation to it that it's funny when I was younger listening to that went way over my head. I would just like, yeah, it's just some good old rock music, but now hearing kind of how noisy it is and the vocabulary of the music of that rising line, the repetitiveness of it, and like yeah, that definitely was drawing more from like 90s punk and hardcore, which is really an interesting thing to hear in an Arctic Monkeys album all these years later. It was always there and I just never really noticed it because my listening comprehension are just so much higher now than it was before. Um, and then yeah, breaking out into this like really like you think that when the song starts like that, it's gonna go so hard, and it doesn't. It doesn't go that hard for that long, right? And then it just breaks off into this like pensive feeling, right? Of like again, I feel like the song is very vivid, right? Like it's kind of pensive and frank and like lucid. Like when you hit that part, it almost feels like you're like looking up. You finally like look up from like your own being stuck in your own little world of something. You look up and you just start to see and take in the world around you. You know what I mean? Um, and then you know, kind of the drum beat, the bass line comes in, and then that kind of offbeat, that offbeat guitar bit, which is kind of ska-ish. Honestly, it's kind of ska-ish, reggae-ish, which I mean, maybe it came from ska, maybe it came from reggae, but honestly, maybe it came from, you know what I mean? Maybe it came from that. But that also to say is quite ska-ish, isn't it? Um Anyway, but like I was saying, because of the drum beat and the bass line, and then that kind of the bing, bing, bing guitar part, it always for some reason just puts me in the scene of like walking down a busy street. And of course, I do think that part of that is informed by the knowledge of like listening to the whole album and hearing how much of it is about kind of like young nightlife, young city life, like on the scene and what it's like to be an a elder teenager, younger adult person in the early 2000s. You know what I mean? Um, so it just puts me right in that scene of like just like walking down the street and seeing how busy everything is and just feeling like, wow, look at the scene going on. Like everyone's living their own lives. This car's over here doing that. These guys are walking here doing that. That show is going on there. Those people are getting dinner in that restaurant. That's like it just feels like you're walking down a bustling, busy life, a busy scene, and kind of looking on it with a bit of an adoration, right? That's the where that sets me musically, which is so cool. Um it's just very, very, very interesting. There's a lot of influences in that song, a lot of different parts. And the structure is so interesting too. Maddie, do you consider Alex a greater composer than Julian? Alex composed this album when he was 18 and 19 years old, did and a year later released another banger. Um, I think Alex Turner is a genius for sure. Even though, you know, well, genius, I have interesting opinions about the word genius once you start looking into like Greek philosophical um approach to what genius actually means. So I think Alex Turner is a very talented individual. Um, and I think Julian is also a very talented individual in a different way. Do I consider Alex a greater composer? Definitely not. I definitely think Julian is a much better composer than Alex Turner is. Honestly, I think that you know, I love Alex Turner's stuff, like as like he writes stuff for a band, you know what I mean? Like and it definitely rocks out and he's so, you know, broad in his influences, how many different sounds he can kind of grab and he's like really tapped into like creativity, honestly. Um but nonetheless, I do think the strokes are musically much deeper than Arctic Monkeys are, honestly. And I like that. Like I kind of have this thing where this theory, this thought that I've kind of a perspective I've developed, where I feel like Arctic Monkeys kind of writes, and they're a great rock band, but they kind of write in that rock band thing where I said, yeah, there's that bass guitar part, the rhythm guitar part, and the lead guitar part, and the drum part, and then the vocals, and they're all kind of just working built on top of each other where it's like they started with one thing and then they add other things, right? When that's where it feels like the songwriting process is just like, hey guys, what if I had, you know, oh, sorry, what if I did this part, right? Boom, one guitar part done, right? Maybe double it and change it a bit for the bass line, right? And then add on to it with the other guitar part. And so it's just like that you can get a sense that that's the songwriting process of like, we're going to start with a part, whether it's a chords or a guitar riff or a melody or something. And then we're just going to add to it, add on top of it, and just make sure everything kind of works conducively. And you kind of end up with this thing where it kind of feels like this, as far as two guitar bands go, you end up with this thing where it feels like one guitar is playing the left hand of a piano of an, you know, or I should say like, you know, the bottom part of an arrangement, and the other guitar ends up playing the right hand of the piano, right? That's kind of what it ends up feeling like with these kinds of rock bands that are composed and songwrite like rock bands. Start with a guitar riff and then make something else that works with it. One guitar plays the left hand, the other guitar plays the right hand. done, right? Um, Somehow Julian always gets talked about in these streams, even if it's not mine about Mind Monday. I know. Well, he is one of the most influential people of the century, musically to speaking. So of course, and of course, the Arctic Monkeys, the comparisons are always drawn. Anyway, so that's that sound that ends up being this really engaging well, when it's done right. When it's done right, that type of sound feels like a bunch of scrappy people in a garage, like, who came up with something, and maybe they came up with something great, right? But you get this feeling of like jamming in a sense, in a lot of ways, as opposed to where I think the Strokes come in and Julian Casablancas comes in, is they don't write as though, you know, the one guitar is the left hand and the other guitar is the right hand, and then maybe the bass guitar maybe plays something different, but most of the time it ends up just playing the left hand an octave down. um but you end up, yeah, but that's that sound, whereas Julian Casablancas and the Strokes kind of stuff ends up feeling much more composed. Like, it ends up more feeling like the stroke stuff, like the bass is the left hand and the two guitars and the voice are one right hand that has like 12 fingers. It's just a very different approach, right? Like, stroke stuff feels much more musically deep, much more musically deliberate. I think honestly much more rewarding to dive into and listen to, especially when you start breaking down, like, oh my God, like the beautiful symmetry and like the art of it all, right? Like, I've like it yeah, I just think there's no world, when you really get down to it, there's no world in which Alex Turner is a better composer than Julian Casablancas. Um, you know? Yeah, that's a really very, very unrehearsed take on it. I bet if you gave me some time, I could much more eloquently put my opinion together on it, and say it in a better way that can complement both sides. Because again, there is so much value in a band that has that more scrappy, rascally garage feel to it, where it's like, yeah, one guitar part is written, and then the other guitar goes, well, let me counter that with something, and the bass goes, let me counter that with something, and everything's kind of built up from the bottom up, where it's kind of like there's something there and you build on that, as opposed to the stroke stuff where it feels like all of the music is composed to be perfectly symmetrical and perfectly meticulously arranged and rhythmic and everything in all the perfect ways, regardless of instrumentation. And then they decide, all right, well, this is the music. So now we'll have the bass take that part of the music, and we'll have this guitar do that part, and that guitar do that part, and I guess all the voice will sing this part, right? It ends up feeling much more deliberate and composed, arranged in a way, rather than feeling um, like a bunch of people jamming off of each other. And that's great. There's value in both of those things. Um, let's see here. Sorry, rambling. Didn't mean it to bow. Yeah, Alex stayed from '05 to '06 to 13, making thousands of songs nonstop, each having different goals and sounding insanely good. 6 years still is a considerably weak album. Yeah, I mean, you know, so Ezekiel, you know, you're right about that. So, you know, when you talk about creative output, the speed of creative output, um, is maybe something to consider, but that's, you know, just that's like subjectivity, personal opinion. For me, that's not really something that matters that much to me. I mean, look, I mean, you're comparing, you know, one aspect of one artist's, you know, one timeline from one artist to another timeline from another artist. I mean, I bet, you know, I bet I could pull up a period of time where Alex Turner also took a break, right? Or maybe some, maybe not as long as Julian or what have you. But I don't think, you know, when you're, I guess I'm wondering if you bringing up the hiatus is a point of like a debate or a point of conversation in regards to determining quality of like songwriter, in terms of the question, the discussion of who is a better songwriter, who is a better composer. I don't think a hiatus really needs to come into play there for me personally. Maybe for you it does, but hey, everybody looks for different things in different musicians and in different um, artists. Everybody's looking for something different. Um, let's see here. And again, I love both of them. They just have a very different vibe to them. You know what I mean? But apples to oranges, saying like, well, hold on. Alex was composing nonstop from '06 to 13. Julian took a 6-year hiatus. Well, yeah, but hold on. What about from 1999 to 2006, where Julian put out 3 banger fuck ass albums? You know what I mean? You see it? You see how that kind of comes in there? But I do appreciate the question. Let's see here. Someone said at least a much better lyricist. So lyrics. Now the lyric discussion I think is very, 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 very interesting. I think Alex Turner is a phenomenal poet. I think he's a phenomenal wordsmith. He is so, so interesting. Um, so very interesting, and the way that he's able to put in just fascinating, intriguing vocabulary words into lyrics and have it be coherent, if not like evocative and interesting, is really admirable and like fascinating. I mean, honestly, I was a huge Suck It and See fan, right? I was a huge Suck It and See fan. A lot of people didn't really like that album so much. I loved it when it came out when I was in ninth grade. I think I remember, or was it 10th grade? 10th grade maybe. High school, early high school, regardless. Um, but so yeah, that's where Alex is a lyricist. I feel like Julian is much more skilled at wringing emotion out of simpler words, right? Like Julian's lyrics, like they're very conversational, they're very kind of plain in a way that they it's like, wow, how did you use simple ingredients, simple words you hear all the time, but arrange them in such a way that they feel new, that they feel like a gut punch of emotion, right? Like that's where he shines as a lyricist, whereas where Alex shines as a lyricist is weaving together brand new sentences of like whimsy and serendipity and fantastic wordplay and stuff. So Alex Turner, definitely a better poet, better lyricist. That's subjective. That's just kind of what you're up to. Uh, similar way I suppose that I would say which one's a better band? That's totally subjective. That's totally up to you. Um, who's a better composer? Oh, I definitely think Julian's a better composer. Who's a better songwriter? That's totally subjective. It's totally up to you. You know what I mean? Like different strokes for different folks. Um, anyway, yeah. Let's see here. The Strokes never seemed like they were on a grind as much. Maybe. I mean, it's my understanding that they grinded really hard in the first couple years and burnt out. Like even by the time they got to Room on Fire, they were already kind of burnt out. Is my understanding. So much of their grind wasn't really even publicized, as opposed to Arctic Monkeys. They just had their grind more publicized because they were already in the public eye during much of their grind, right? Um, right. Good morning, cheeseburger. Yeah. So that's a lot of subjective talk about this kind of stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. Composer, gotta give it to Julian. Songwriter, subjective. What are you looking for in a song? Um, lyricist, subjective. What are you looking for in your lyrics? Poet, Alex Turner for sure. Band, subjective. What are you looking for in a band? And for me, I don't necessarily value the grind or like, the consistent output that much, honestly, for a band personally. Like, it's just not really my thing. You know what I mean? It's possible that the Strokes aren't constitutionally set up to tour and write and tour and write. I know by 2005 they were very renowned. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Both phenomenal bands. Love the Arctic Monkeys, and I love that they've made a name for themselves very much apart from the Strokes, and in many ways have like surpassed them. Certainly in popularity. Very, very, very interesting. Um, I wish the Strokes had a flashy drum set sound like Am does. I mean, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not flashy, but there's some really good drum playing in some Strokes though. Let's look at the lyrics, everybody. Let's take a look at the lyrics of this song. I would like to do that. They might wear classic Reeboks. And man, can we talk about his accent? How Alex Turner's accent has changed so much over the years, right? Um, and it's funny that wow, I'm totally going taking on myself off the rails again. Gonna come back to this. I still love hearing his like weird Sheffield drawl from the early days. You know what I mean? I really, really, really still like that. Um, let me arrange this so I can see the chat while looking at these lyrics. So, like I was saying, we've set up whoopsie. Wait, what is that? What are you doing here? Computers. Let's see here. I have to be honest, I haven't listened to AM at all. Wow, new friends. You should definitely listen to Arctic Monkeys. They're awesome. My personal favorite album is Favorite Worst Nightmare. If you want something really crazy and interesting, I'll definitely listen to Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. It's kind of like Kubrickian, very film noirish. I wish you were falling into the rabbit hole of The Voice. Maybe later we'll fall into the rabbit hole in The Voice, but we just fell into the rabbit hole of comparing Julian and Alex, and they both have their merits. I mean, they got to be tied, right? Like they both have strengths and weaknesses, and so much of what they have is just like really personal preference. But they are both two of the absolute most brilliant musical minds of this century. Absolutely, 100%. Okay. So as I was saying, I feel like this song and the album, the intro to the song coming into this, and then the album as a whole, and the, you know, lyrical content, the narrative content of the song as a whole, like sets you up to like think about, the scene, what it's like to be a young adult or late teenager in trying to live your life and maybe even do music and stuff like in that era in the mid to late mid 2000s, and comes right up in here with some commentary about the scene, you know what I mean? They might wear classic Reeboks or knackered Converse or tracky bottoms tucked in socks, but that's what the point is not. The point is there ain't no romance around there, right? So like what does this even mean at this point? Like, because the song's called A Certain Romance. And so then he says romance here, and you're like, okay, I'm getting the sense he's not necessarily strictly talking about romance as in like love or anything like that. There's a very solid chance he's talking about something else, right? Um, let's see here. Maddie, I agree with you. Julian released a lot of bangers, 1999, 2006. After Is This It? The Strokes' impact on music and the mainstream declined a lot. Um, interesting points. I would counter, you were probably right on the second thing, right? The impact, their mainstream appeal declined. Impact on music? I don't think so. I think that's an interesting thing up for debate because they are like one of the most influential bands to the point where like actually this is fascinating. Spotify releases information, like how there's a Spotify Wrapped? Spotify also releases information on like artist Wrapped. And apparently, consistently, the Strokes are the band that more bands and artists listen to comparatively to non-artists, right? What does that mean? That means that so many people who make music, proportionally, a massive percentage of those people who make music listen to the Strokes as compared to the people who don't listen to music, right? So impact on music, I think it stays. I could write a whole thesis on how the Strokes still have influenced things so much. So are they popular in the mainstream anymore? Maybe not so much. Coming back up, especially with New Abnormal and other stuff going on. Impact on music declined? I don't think so. At least not in the ways when you really start to compare and contrast and take into consideration everything, including influence and stuff. Um, doo doo boo doo boo doo doo boo doo boo doo. Anyway, I just thought that was a really fascinating piece of information. Yeah, like more musicians listen to the Strokes, Like when you compare percentage of people who listen to a band, percentage of people who make music who listen to a band versus percentage of people who don't make music who listen to that same band, according to Spotify, the Strokes are the number one, like highest, like ratio where like so many people who make music listen to the Strokes as compared to people who don't. I think that's a fascinating thing. We're talking about Arctic Monkeys. Now, coming back to it. All right, so the point, all of that is what the point is not. The point is there's no romance around it. Wow, what does that even mean, right? Like he's kind of saying there's like a uniform, right? Like whatever scene that they're playing around with, whatever scene this is, whatever part of town this is, whatever you want to say, there's kind of a uniform. There's a culture that people are trying to play into. You know what I mean? All of that is what the point is not. The point is there's no romance around there. Not only are they scuffed, they also have no passion. Hey, yeah. The truth is that they can't see. They'd like to throw a punch at me, and if you could only see him, then you would agree. All right. I think I love this little line, this kind of like pivot line, just again as a poet talking about the poetry of Arctic Monkeys lyrics that, you know, the truth that they can't see. Oh, and there's the truth that they can't see. I'm not going to tell you what the truth is. Yes. They'd probably like to throw a punch at me, right? Why do they like to throw a punch at you? Well, because you're calling them out on the truth, right? You're calling out their shit. Now he's poising himself as the narrator saying, yeah, all those people that I'm kind of criticizing, making fun of, they don't like me because they don't like that I am calling them out, right? It's still interesting because like there is the possibility of an unreliable narrator, right? Like maybe he's judgmental. I don't know, who knows, right? But this little pivot line, right? If you could only see him, you would agree. I love this pivot line because it's like, how does this line relate to that line? Right? It's like you could perceive and interpret this as, yeah, man, if only you could see them, you'd agree that you like to throw a punch at me, right? It's kind of like, yeah, maybe I deserve it. Maybe I deserve the hate I'm getting, right? But then at the same time, how does this line compare or relate to this line down here? Ah, oh, maybe that's what I'm agreeing with, that there's no romance around there, right? So, right? I mean, it is great poetry, right? It's great lyric writing that, yeah, like there's no romance around there, right? These guys, they're all just copying each other, kind of wearing all the same uniforms, right? There's no romance. I really like it the way that Stray Brat said, right? They have no passion, right? There's no passion around here. Everyone's just kind of copying each other. There's no genuine, no authenticity, right? But that's the thing. You'd agree what? That I'm an asshole who's judging them, or agree that, yeah, you know what? There is no passion around there. There is no love, right? Yeah, exactly. If you could only see them, yeah, they blend in so much. That's true too. I like that. Um, let's see here. I'm going to slack off, hang longer, haha. I like having this intro to a new to me band. Hey, all right, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Ezekias, I very much appreciate your perspective and your questions. Honestly, they've been really interesting to discuss. And yeah, keep I hope you keep hanging out and keep having interesting things to contribute. Stray Brat, I see you're Arctic Monkeys lyrical fiend. I can tell. You know these lyrics better than me. So it's a funny thing, well, tell them if you like, tell them all tonight. They'll never listen. Their minds are made up, right? Well, they'll never, it doesn't matter if I tell them, guys, where's your passion for, trying to be original? Where's your authenticity to yourselves or to the music or to whatever? You're all just kind of, blending in with each other, right? And they'll never listen. It doesn't matter how many times you try to change their mind. If somebody's already got their minds made up, you can't talk to them, right? Tell them if you like. Hey, hell yeah, man, we'll tell them all tonight. What I think is really, really, really cool about this chorus, what's really interesting about this chorus is it kind of puts you in this, it kind of lets you know that you're kind of in media rays in regards to this conversation, right? Like Alex Turner, the narrator, is speaking directly to the audience. Alex Turner, the narrator, speaking directly to the audience, telling him all this stuff, right? And he's getting to the point where he's saying like, "Hey man, listen, I've already tried. By the time you and I are having this conversation about these people that we're kind of criticizing, judging, passing judgment on, I have already tried. I've been thinking about this a long time, and I have already tried to talk to them about it because I probably would have considered many of them my peers, right? Maybe I was even trying to help them in one way or another. Or maybe I was just being a shithead, Sheffield teenage brat calling them out. Who knows, right? But the point is, I have already tried, and I've learned they'll never listen. Their minds are made up. They'll never listen, right? And he's already tried and done it as much that like he's already come to terms like, and you know what? Fine, they can be that way if they'd like, right? There's so much like sass and history just in this lyric and the way that he sets this up. By the time we're even having this song, he's like, this ain't my first rodeo. I have been down that path and back again, right? But I'm happy that you now, the audience, are joining me, right? Joining me in this. Like he's slyly looking over his shoulder and just like, these guys, right? I'll show you, kid. I'll show you, right? There's like a weird cinematic, like almost like video game aspect to it. It's very interesting. Cause over there's broken bones. There's only music so that there's new ringtones. Oh man, I love this line. There's broken bones, there's only music, so there's new ringtones. You know what they say, like, history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it often rhymes, right? And so it's so funny. I mean, this song came out in 2006, right? And look, there's only music so that there's no ringtones. There's only music. 2006, there's only music so there's new ringtones. 2020s, there's only music so there's new TikToks. There's only music so there's new TikTok songs to dance to for people to like make memes about and all kinds of things to make their aesthetic little lives come true, right? It's like saying back, I mean, it's funny, 2006, really, that was like kind of the beginning of the end for the record industry as we knew it for the majority of the 20th century. And you already see it here that they already were like, music is just treated like a product. It's not treated as an art. People are only engaging with music as it can, bolster and you know, supplement their lives. You know what I mean? As opposed to like treating it and understanding it as art, right? Music is something to sell, not something to create. And I like how that plays with all this stuff. Since that's what music is about, since that's what music is about, then that's what all these people are doing. They're all wearing this uniform because they're trying to make it big or something. I don't know. There's broken bones, right? It's kind of like people are getting into fights, perhaps, right? I don't know. Maybe I could think about that one a little bit harder if we'd like. Or maybe we could just move on, right? Maybe there's over there in that place, there's broken bones and only music, so there's new ringtones, right? Stray Brad, I doubt he wanted to help them. It sounds like beef. I agree, right? I agree. There's definitely beef now. Maybe there wasn't before. I don't know, man, but so many different ways to interpret it, right? It don't take no Sherlock Holmes to see it's a little different around here, right? I mean, that's just a good rhyme, right? You don't gotta be, it's so interesting. By saying it don't take no Sherlock Holmes to see it's a little different around here, by saying you don't gotta be Sherlock Holmes, you don't even have to be that smart to see what's going on. By saying that, he is saying all of these people, all these guys are dumb. You got, like in the second verse, he's throwing insults. He's throwing dirt at the people he talked about in the first verse because we've been through all this before. He knows these people, right? And especially because this kind of starting this second verse with the cuz, I mean, that's the beginning of a dependent clause grammatically, lyrically, right? So you know that this is a continuation, right? This isn't even necessarily a new paragraph, a new chapter. A lot of times a verse 2 or a bridge or things like that is like a new chapter or a new paragraph, something like this. But because he starts it here with this cause, you can tell, no, well, I'm not done yet. I'm continuing the story, right? This is all a continuation, right? Yeah. So don't get me wrong though, there's boys in bands and kids who scrap with pool cues in their hands, right? Like he's saying, like it's a little different around here. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's still all the normal cliche stuff that you'd see. And just because he's had a couple of cans, he thinks it's all right to act like a dickhead, right? So I mean, again, just he's still just sock talking shit about all these guys up here, right? Just it's so funny to me that really once we're looking at this that the whole album is about the scene and the nightlife of Sheffield and that town and that like little scrappy urban working class city in the mid 2000s. That's what this whole album is about. And now in this closing song, the closing track of the album, he's just talking shit about the whole scene. You know, he's kind of done with it. He's like, I've seen it. I see you guys. I see through you. I see what it's like. I see how you guys are all acting all the same dumb way, right? Oh, no, yeah, they're all acting the same dumb way. There's the kids in the bands. There's the kids who are fighting, broken bones, right? Scrapping with pool cues in their hands, right? Maybe they're gambling or they're wasting their time. Maybe he's saying they're wasting their time playing these games, right? He's saying these fucking idiots like they're just getting drunk and fighting with each other, right? Like all these assholes, he's seeing right through them. So there's just got no romance. They got no romance for the music. They got no romance for the people around each other. You know what I mean? It's got no romance for maybe the town, the community, the scene. It's very, very, very vivid. What are people saying? That's what I'm not. Gives off the party vibe, and this song ends the album. It's the dawn after the hangover, dude. That's so true. This is the dawn after the hangover. I don't think any other band does final tracks as well as the Arctic Monkeys. Um, Arctic Monkeys do frequently nail their closing tracks. Absolutely true. Um, and it's so funny, right? Like, let's see here. He's, I don't know. He's saying it's a little different around here. So much of it is the same, but it's a little different. I mean, what do you guys think that is? What do you think he's trying to say is a little different? Let me think here. Let me read through this a little bit. That there's no romance? I mean, maybe that's what he's saying, right? It's a little different around here, right? People are not, they don't really care about themselves. They don't care about their peers, their community. They don't care about their talent. They don't care about, maybe that's the thing, right? Because I think that's what romance means, right? In this case, right? Passion for music, passion for the community, passion for the scene, passion for the people around them. That maybe that's the thing that's different. It's like at least in all over the world or even in different parts of Sheffield, maybe if it's a different neighborhood, different part of town, or maybe a different city entirely. And everywhere else, like people, even though they act the same, that at the very least in other places there's some romance, there's some care, there's some passion. All these guys are already burnouts. Are burnouts, they're deadbeats already, right? Maybe in other places people act like dickheads and they fight and they scrap and there's music and there's boys and bands with big dreams, right? But a lot of those people aren't deadbeats, but here they're deadbeats, you know what I mean? He's looking back at the culture that he is a part of with disdain. Wow. So scrappy. So sassy. And don't you know, it's a funny thing, We'll tell them if you like. We'll tell them all tonight, they'll never listen. Because their minds are made up, and cause it's all okay to carry on that way, right? He's just saying the same thing again in that first verse, like saying, but you, the person I'm speaking to, I'll show you the ropes, I'll show you. Hey, don't worry about it. I know that you are seeing what I'm seeing. That you too feel a similar way about this vibe and this scene and these people that I do. But I'll tell you what, I've been up and down that road before. Don't even try it. Don't even worry about it. Or even like, oh, sure, if you want. But he's saying, and I'll never change their minds, and I'm done trying. I don't think he's saying it's all okay to carry on that way, like genuinely. I don't think he's saying, oh yeah, but you can live your life that way. No, I think he's saying like it's not worth my time to try to change their minds and kind of being sad. Like if they want to live that way, then that's their choice, not mine, right? Very, very, very interesting. Very sexy. I like it. But I said, no, you won't get me to go. Not anywhere. Not anywhere. I won't go. Oh no. And I love this last verse, right? Here we go. Well, over there's friends of mine. What can I say? I've known them for a long, long time. Yeah, they might overstep the line, but you just cannot get angry in the same way. Not in the same way, not in the same way. So, what is he saying at the very end here with this? He is saying that he literally has friends, and since, well, they're friends of his, then maybe he acts the same way, right? Maybe he also does that, right? So, well, he cannot get angry in the same way in regards to what? Well, I can't get angry at my friends when they act like this, right? My friends, and by proxy or by association, right? Maybe me, I also act this way. I also do this. Me and my friends, we also play the game and we act like dickheads. And we also are boys in bands. And we have a couple of cans and act like a dickhead. And we too sometimes try to fit in with our outfits and everything. And maybe we as well are trying, we're looking for love in the wrong places, looking for passion and success in the wrong places. Maybe we too sometimes get caught up in this trap. And you know what? Maybe we've also got our minds made up. I don't know. But the point is, he's saying he's kind of he's being self-aware here and kind of calling out his own hypocrisy here of just like all of this stuff, this bad stuff that I had to say about this scene, this community, this city, these people. I'm one of them. I act like this too. My friends act like this too, and we do this. But you know what? I'm aware of the fact that I don't get mad at myself and my friends for this. I'm having that self-awareness and the lucidity to say, huh, maybe it's not fair that I give myself and my friends a pass on these things, right? Like, why am I allowed to forgive myself and excuse myself and my friends for acting this way when I look at all these people and I am like, what the fuck, right? There's a consideration, a contemplation of the hypocrisy here, right? He's being self-aware of that hypocrisy and he's contemplating. And maybe it is that self-reflection that leads him to change these things, right? Maybe it's in writing this song and recognizing, man, I am guilty of all the things that I would judge from all these other people. I'm a hypocrite. That can be the impetus to change and try harder. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like, man, all these people are dressing the same, writing the same kind of songs. There's no passion. And shit, man, me and my friends do that too. So maybe we should change that, right? I think it's and that's just to say all in this one song, right? It's just like I hate this town, I hate this city, I hate this community, I hate this scene, but gosh dang well if I ain't a part of it. You know what I mean? It's just so interesting. And it's especially interesting not only just because of this one song itself, but also, because of what this represents for the whole album. This final verse is not just the final verse of the song. This final verse is also the final verse of the whole album. The whole album that, as we said before, we spent discussing and contemplating and exploring the scene and the life that these people were living in that time and place, right? And so he's looking back on this whole song saying, yeah, but you know what? Hell, I do it too. I'm also guilty. He's not just looking back on this song, he's looking back on the whole album. He's looking at the whole album all the way back saying, this, I just spent a whole album talking shit about all this stuff and passing judgments and all these things. Eh, But man, me too. I do all this too. I'm looking back and seeing all of my observations and my reflections on things. They apply to me as well, right? So it's almost like going through the journey of this album is a catharsis, maybe even a metamorphosis for him, where at the end he realizes what he learned through the self-expression and the self-exploration of writing the album about all this stuff, right? That's certain romance. It is just very, very, very fascinating. These are great lyrics in so many ways. You know what I mean? Um, they're clever, they're vivid. They're also, who can't agree with some of these things? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we all know somebody who's a dickhead because they've had a bit too much. We all know people who are just chasing the latest fashion trends, right? We all know that I just cannot get angry in the same way at other people, at my friends and stuff. And we all know people who'll never listen because their minds are made up, and you just gotta live and let live, right? So it is very, very, very specific, but he does say it in this song in such a way that's like, yeah, we can all find ourselves and see ourselves and our scene in this song. It's great. It's fantastic. Thoughts, opinions? I don't want to sound like a boomer, but that's what I feel like is missing nowadays. A band that makes an album telling a unique story or vibe. Seems like all bands focus on writing songs for singles, not a complete artist, artistic work. Ezekias, that is such a complicated thing. I mean, I don't disagree. I think that's a major issue nowadays in scenes and stuff, that it's hard to find bands who can focus on on just the music. However, honestly, it's deep. There's reasons why, right? You know, you say it seems like all bands focus on writing songs for singles and not a complete artistic work. Maybe you're right about that. But there's reasons why that are not those people's faults. To a certain extent, you can't fault them, right? We're all living in a capitalistic hellhole. And it's like, I got like seems to be the way to succeed, right? If I want to do this and be successful at this and get my music heard, I gotta have to make the stuff that's gonna pierce the veil. But the only kind of stuff that pierces the veil is stuff like that. But that's all it's the same. It's kind of like it's an Ouroboros situation that's just terrible. It's terrible to see. Um, so Ezekiel, I think that that's a very, very important thing to bring up, and I don't even disagree with you. But I think it's equally important to acknowledge the fact that lots of people are artists. I mean, hell, I'm an artist who's trying to be an artist, who wants to make complete artistic works. But there is something to be said about accessibility, and opportunity that, frankly, there's just not that much nowadays. It's really difficult to, as a person and an artist, to find yourself in a position where you have the space, time, and resources to make a complete artistic work. Honestly, it's really complicated. The current music scene the current musical landscape in terms of like commercial music, like popular music, selling music, not just making music for yourself at home. Um, it is a convoluted Rubik's cube of garbage. That I agree with you, and I think it's an important thing to talk about. But I think it's also important to talk about why that is, because that's really the key here. I don't think it's all these people's faults. You know what I mean? I don't blame them. I blame the I don't know the powers that be. I blame the capitalists who have set us up in this way. Turner's the best lyricist of the 21st century. Suck and See. I love Suck and See. I was actually talking to earlier how Suck and See I think is very, very underrated. Um, Suck and See super underrated. I loved that album. Some of those lyrics are crazy. In such an interesting way. Like the Hellcat Spangled Sha La La La. Some of those lyrics, I'm just like, whoa, what? Straight rat. Capitalism ruins everything. Correct. The best, I guarantee you guys, I guarantee you guys the next best songwriters, the next best bands, the next best people who would make that album that would change your lives and change music history ever all again, they will just die in obscurity because of we live in the society within which we live. Um, yes. Sorry, that's a bit of a bummer, but it is the way it is. Um, I want to be that person who wants to create a complete artistic work. I have ambitions of doing that. But what's going to happen is I will be writing songs and releasing them one by one by one by one until they're out, 12 songs, and then I can wrap them up and draw a circle and say, that is it. That is the one piece of artistic work. I had to let it out little by little, but now the whole piece of work is out there. And there's very complicated socioeconomic reasons why that is necessitated for an artist's career nowadays. And we're not going to get into those reasons, but they exist. I mean, and hey, look, even back here, you know, even back in 2006, this was the beginning of the end, right? The world runs on money, and therefore people, and you know, people treat music like a product, not like art. And if you think that you're not implicit or guilty of that, then you're wrong. Sorry, you gotta take a look in the mirror, you know. And it's also not, wouldn't even be your fault either, you know what I mean? It's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault, you know. Things happen, and well, it is certain people's faults, but it's not individual people's faults, you know. People like to look at the artists themselves and be like, none of you guys make full albums anymore, none of you guys make good songs, none of you guys are focused on making a genuine artistic expression. That's not true. They definitely are, you know what I mean? People will say that, and then they'll turn around and just, will they go digging for brand new bands? Will they go digging in artists' discography? Will they go and support local artists? A lot of people don't do that, you know, and there's a lot of hypocrisy in there that it's everybody's fault and no one's fault, and it's an impossible problem. A Rubik's Cube, as I was saying. The song Suckin' and See, that's not a skirt girl, it's a Son of Shock on it, and I can only hope you've got it aimed at me. Mwah. Horny Alex Turner, still a poet. It's a good song. I want to listen to it again, actually. If you guys wouldn't mind kind of taking that journey with me. Now that we have really taken a look at the lyrics of that, I think I'd like to listen to it again a little bit. Maybe we'll skip to the lyrics part, right? We'll skip to the lyrics part. Oops. Wait, am I sharing my sound? Sorry. Man, like I was saying, we know this whole album and this song is talking about a scene, a city, a community. And man, if this arrangement doesn't sound like a scene, a city, a community, like bustling with life, it's perfect musical representation of that, you know?
Loading my wear classic Reeboks, or knackered Converse, or tracky bottoms tucked in socks. But all of that's what the point is not. The point's that there ain't no romance around there. And there's the truth that they can't see. They'd probably like to throw a punch at me. And if you...
Man, and his vocal performance, he kind of sounds drunk, right? The way he's kind of like chewing and almost like slurring his words. Maybe he doesn't sound drunk, but he sounds, you know, kind of hungover in there, right? Like, you can hear the sass in his voice, man. His vocal delivery on this first song was crazy.
Could only see him, then you would agree that there ain't no romance around there, you know. Oh, it's a funny thing, you know. We'll tell him if you like. We'll tell him.
Did you guys know that Matt Helders picked up the drums specifically for the band Arctic Monkeys? Like, he was friends with all of them, and it was like, well, you play guitar, you play bass, you sing. Well, hell, what do I want to do? What am I gonna do? I guess I'll play the drums, right? He picked it up specifically for this band, and man, he became such an animal. So good.
Tonight they'll never listen because their minds are made up. Of course, it's all okay to carry on that way. There's over there, there's broken bones. There's only music, so that there's new ringtones, and it doesn't take no Sherlock Holmes.
You guys know what a diphthong is? A diphthong is a diphthong is when you have more than one vowel sound smushed into one syllable, right? So like take, for example, the word take, right? That has e, right? Take. Take. E. Two vowel sounds, one syllable, right? Diphthong. This song, his Sheffield accent, it's like they take these diphthongs that should be like two vowel sounds in one syllable, and he like squeezes in like 3-4 vowel sounds into one syllable. That it's like, it's wild. The accent is wild. It's like he's chewing. He's chewing.
To see it's a little different around here. Don't get me wrong, notice boys in bands and kids who like to scrap with pool cues in their hands. And just cause he's had a couple of cans, he thinks it's alright to act like a dickhead, don't you know? Oh, it's a funny thing, you know. We'll tell him if you...
I love the change, like this like hemiola feel that Matt Helders goes to with the drums on this one, because it takes us from this, you know, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, you know, to in the chorus he kind of does this like he kind of almost feels like it's one long drum fill. Honestly, it's like a whole chorus of drum fill, and it's a really great change in feel that does kind of feel like it is symbolizing and signifying the change, right? From kind of looking out, like in the verses, we're looking out into the scene and like kind of making observations and discussing. And then it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like looking externally, but then in the choruses, he's kind of like turning internally, and maybe he's talking to the narrators now, kind of more looking directly and speaking directly to us, or thinking internally, or this way, that like that external internal, you know, perspective, like where is the camera pointed kind of thing, where is the content being directed towards. The way we change that lyrically between the verse and the chorus is also followed by the way that now in the drums it feels like it's totally shifting our framing of the whole thing too, that really helps you feel in this chorus like we're kind of talking about things differently and things are changing, right? And that, I know that seems like a obvious classic songwriting thing, but you'd be surprised how many songs are not very good at doing that, actually, who don't do that well, and this is especially not in this way, so it's still really great.
We'll tell them all tonight, they'll never listen, because their minds are made up, and course it's all okay to carry on that way, but I said no, oh no, well you won't get me to go, not anywhere, not anywhere, no I won't go, oh no,
Did we get the did I skip that part? Sorry, I'm skipping around too. Oh, yeah, whoops. I should have just played the song, guys. Sorry. Oh man, I love that little guitar.
Friends of mine, what can I say? I've known them for a long, long time, and it might overstep.
Right, and then also the change here again with the drums and everything. A lot of the instruments are the same, but that drum beat suddenly makes it feel like now he's having a moment of frankness, right? With that snare hitting all these different ways. There's like the amount of sass, the amount of this, the amount of that. But now when we get to here, and we just have this much more like stripped down groove, where again, like so much of it is exactly the same. You know, a lot of them, the guitars, the bass line is the same, but now the drums are kind of zooming in and having more of like a soliloquy, like self-reflection moment here. Again, it feels like it. The music feels like it. It really sets the scene very well to really put you, the listener, in the proper place to hear these lyrics and get the right meaning of them. You know, that lucidity here, right? Of like, whoa, now that all the noise is over, I can like look up and see things for how they are. It's great. It's perfect.
Line, but you just cannot get angry in the same way. No, not in the same
Well,
way.
and also he does like a minor four there. Cannot get angry in the same way. He does a minor four there, which kind of lets you know maybe he's like a little bit sad about it. He's kind of saying sad, like there's a bit of like sadness or self-reflection and something like that, or just recognizing something's off, something's not right about that, right? The intersection of the music and the lyrics. It's great. It's phenomenal.
So not in the same way. Oh no.
I want to hear that minor chord.
Oh no. No, not in the same way.
I'm gonna go back.
Cannot get angry in the same way.
Yep, okay. Woo.
No, not in the same way. So not in the same way. Oh no. Oh
Do it.
no, no.
I mean, really, this song and so many of the other songs on this album, including especially like I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor, like there's a humility, a humbleness, like a rusticness to much of the riffs that is exactly what people like about, you know, that's like, you know, how earlier in the live stream we were comparing and contrasting like composers like Julian Casablancas versus Alex Turner versus other people, and talking about like sophistication, meticulousness, intentionality, refinement. But I was talking about different types of bands. And you know how I'm drawing a distinction between kind of songwriting and composing in a lot of ways, and arranging as well, and talking about how the Strokes feel, you know, like they everything is composed so intentionally, whereas a lot of like that feels that, yeah, it just feels composed. I should come up with a good metaphor or something for it, you know, I mean, a perfectly composed, you know, shot or of like a photograph or a movie or something versus like a candid, right? Exactly, right? Like it feels like that, you know, like stuff that's more like meticulously composed, it feels like a perfectly set, perfectly lit, perfectly composed, everything down to the last of the right detail, like art piece, right? As opposed to this type of more band approach where it's just like, yeah, someone writes a guitar riff, someone writes a chord progression, someone writes a bass line, someone just comes up with a drum groove and then just start adding and tacking onto that. And it ends up being something that has a very different feel to it that feels like a candid. It feels like a candid photograph of like, wow, look at this little bit of life that you have captured here. Like, that's beautiful. That's fantastic. It can be really engaging and compelling. The same way that something that is like meticulously perfectly composed can also be compelling. It's just a very different feel, right? They both exist. They're both valid in different ways. Um, anyway, a rusticness to this band, that the guitar solo, the guitar riffs that they're using, they're almost just like rudimentary. They almost just sound like they've been written by a kid who's only been playing guitar for a year and hardly knows the pentatonic scale. Like in the note choices, the chord choices, and everything, they're not really sophisticated in any way. But they do it in such a way that is so compelling. Like that just feels like a kid who learned his pentatonic scale and is just like he's just going at it. And these specific people going at it in this specific way ends up capturing the attention of millions of people because they went about it in a really, really great and compelling way. They utilize those like rustic ingredients of those like basic chords and pentatonic scales and things in just the best way. You know what I mean? It's sometimes I hear this and I'm still just like, you know, simple. Sometimes simplicity is very elegant and beautiful, and yeah, that's how this final like ending guitar solo just makes me feel like, yeah, wow, they squeezed a lot of emotion out of like what is basically a practice scale. And I mean that in the most kind way I can. Again, let's hear that pick rub, getting ready for that final chord. Love it so much. Oh, I love it. Getting ready for it. It's so good. All right. Woo. Great song. Love it. So good. In their live performance, they elongate the ending guitar riff. Yes. I would love to see that. I've actually Arctic Monkeys have consistently given great performances. Hey, here's another point of comparison, right? Because we were talking about all kinds of different things between Strokes and Arctic Monkeys. I think Arctic Monkeys are like a better live experience. And I've seen both bands multiple times. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Strokes, when the Strokes play a show, the band is like super, super, super tight and they're playing well and everything. But you know, kind of it doesn't seem like they're not you go because you're expecting to hear some songs and kind of like be around some people that are enjoying the same songs as you, but you're not going to like watch musicians at work, right? As opposed to, you know, when you go to see Arctic Monkeys, you're like, I wonder what songs they're gonna do. I wonder what spins they're gonna do on the songs. I wonder what choices Alex and the other guys are gonna make. Like, there's an excitement of like watching a musician like at work that, you know, that like when I've seen Arctic Monkeys multiple times, like I'm always, it always feels like that. And it's a similar comparison. I mean, Arctic Monkeys is a great example. Another one I bring up is another one of my favorites is John Mayer. When you go see John Mayer live, it's because you're like, I wonder what John Mayer's gonna do today. It's gonna be amazing. You want to see them playing music and making the choices and being a musician. And the same thing with Arctic Monkeys too. You're like, I'm excited to see the choices. I'm excited to see them perform. I'm excited to see them be musicians and be in the moment. Whereas the Strokes, love them, but live they're just kind of like, and they're here playing the music, and I guess I'm just gonna enjoy the music and kind of be in the moment with the people around me. It feels more like we're here kind of for a vibe and a community rather than here to like watch musicians at work, right? So that's definitely a thing. AM is definitely a much better live band. So if that matters to you, then you can put that in your little category too. Um, Great. Why don't we start taking a look at some of the music and really kind of start breaking some of it down? Anybody have any other? Let's see here. I saw the little guitar riffs throughout even sounded like ringtones. Dude, yes, exactly. Thank you. Right. See, I was saying before that those little bink 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 kind of sounded like cars beeping or just like the life around you going on. But you're right that like in addition to that, it can also be like ringtones of cell phones and stuff going on, like almost kind of representing like the vapidness of the scene of the community and everything. That's a great, Great interpretation there, Alicia. I did not even think about that, but I love that. They do sound like ringtones. All right, let's talk about this. Let's see. Keep rolling. Wow, it's pretty close. B. D. Oh, interesting, right? All right, so right off the bat, I mean, that is kind of an interesting thing. So we kind of start with this minor situation. You're getting B minor here, right? B minor. And then they immediately hit us with this immediately go to B major, right? Just like no thought about it. Yeah, we're kind of playing this B minor pentatonic. B minor. No, they were just go right to a B major. So that's kind of a cool little thing that we are doing. Ah. Oh yeah, and you guys probably can't even hear that. I didn't have my sound turned on. Let me do this again for you. Right. So sorry, yeah, like so you hit it, we're hitting with this B minor riff. Except my volume would be on. B minor. Right? B minor. And then just like no thought about it, no preparation, just like we're going to go from that B minor to a B major. Which is again really, really cool. Yep. The chord timing is the same as you were there before. Right. I mean, so it is this kind of same thing as like that again, that kind of a reggaeton kind of feel, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 da 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 boo. Yeah, it's that. So it's the one. It's the one E end. The one E end the of one, and then the and of two, I believe, because you're doing 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, you know, da 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and whoa, it's hard to count and play that at the same time. But yes, that is a rhythm that they use very frequently. Boom. 1 E and a 2, 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a, right? 1 E and a 2 E and a. It's the reggaeton beat, right? It almost kind of feels like a swung triplet kind of thing. Oof, these whiteboards. Kind of almost feels like a reggaeton kind of thing. Reggaeton. So we got the, well, I mean, we could kind of faster if you want, right? Yeah. 1 E and 2 E and right? And we're hitting B, D, E, right? That's our going there. 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. Yeah, that's so interesting. I never realized that before, but that's really the rhythm that's happening here. Is a reggaeton kind of feel. So now moving on from the reggaeton, we get let's see here. We start with a rising B minor pentatonic. Neat. And then we immediately go to a B major chord. What if he's playing it? Oh yeah, just in different voicing and stuff. Just making noise. And then breaking off right, yeah, exactly. Start with a rising B minor pentatonic, then B major chord. B major chord with kind of a punky slash hardcore-esque, you know, noise, you know, muted strumming situation. It's funny, right? I mean, it's so interesting. Like we often think of the Arctic Monkeys as like almost like defining this like kind of like certain era, but they're, you know, of like indie rock. And it's interesting to observe that this is really very, very much a kind of a like a 90s like punk, emo, hardcore kind of riff. Just doing that like with some heavy distortion and stuff. You know. Maybe not quite that hard. But you know. That is, yeah, very interesting. Thank you for the analysis. I don't always get in live, but they are good for my developing music theory brain. Danny, I'm so happy to hear that. We spent the first hour and a half just kind of vibing on the song, discussing Arctic Monkeys' place in history and where I first learned about them, as well as kind of comparing and contrasting them with the Strokes a little bit, comparing Julian to Alex, etc. And then we spent a while looking at the lyrics and really analyzing the lyrics of the song, because, you know, there's always a focus on lyrics when it comes to Arctic Monkey songs, and we love these lyrics. They're great. So if you're interested in looking at the lyrics, definitely go check that out. And just some general music appreciation of just like how good this is. So here we are now. We have just the B minor with a reggaeton beat, right? It's hard to like play and sing that at the same time, you know, but it's a reggaeton being sped up, you know. But much faster. And then we go to this B major thing. It's really cool actually now hearing that has some hardcore punk-ish kind of situation in there. That's really, really neat to see. Let's keep looking, and then we break off. Well, let me listen to those drums a little bit just for funsies. Yeah. it's just great. I mean, it's just Matt Helder's going off like an animal. He's so good, man. And it really does start with just all straight 16ths, you know. You know, he's really just dividing in there, and that's a big reason why it doesn't feel like a reggaeton beat, despite the fact that it kind of is because he's not giving us that snare. He's just giving us all the 16ths on the toms and stuff. But then the way that we break out into this like clean guitar thing is really great. And I love all the right, all the like the high little, you know. Somewhere up there. Somewhere up there, there's like just a B harmonic kind of being played when he's doing that kind of thing. Somewhere over there. Just a neat little noise piece over there happening. Which is to say, like, man, when you're rocking out, guys, do not be afraid to hit some open strings and to hit some harmonics and to have some noise happen. You know what I mean? When you're rocking out, rock out. So we are in B major, right? So that is the beginning. And then we move on forward to go to the B major section moving forward. Wow, let's see here. Should I erase the Call It Fate, Call It Karma chords? I think I'm going to keep those just in case we don't need a third whiteboard today, and then I can just keep those around for next week. Classic Reeboks on that good cover, and that very tucked in sucks. Okay, so getting to the verse section. This is indeed B major, indeed, and I'm sorry that my handwriting is so bad. This is indeed B major. Monk. Let's see if we can get what that melody is to start. That's the third, right? So we're probably playing that first inversion over here, right? Except probably no distortion on there, right? Let's find it. Sorry, guys. And then he definitely goes to the 4 chord, right? So we're in the key of B major, which means we're going to an E major, right? Which means... I wonder where he's playing that, do you think? He could be playing it there, right? Because there's 2 guitars playing these chords together, and it's kind of hard to hear like which one is playing what notes in terms of like, is that other guitar kind of just covering while the other one doesn't really play, covering notes underneath while the other one plays, you know, the melody notes? He definitely slides up there. So he's definitely doing a 1 to 4 there. Is that all he's doing? Yeah, just 1 to 4. That's neat. 1, 4, minor 4. That's really all we're doing there. That's neat. Yeah. Interesting. So it seems like they are entirely just staying on these top 2 strings, right? Right, because I'm trying to ask myself the question, are these guys just playing those top 2 strings, or are they potentially adding this lower note here, there, to there? Because I do think, I mean, I'm probably not. It seems like the bass is probably providing that, right? Nice. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's really, really, really cool. That, again, it's always, honestly, musically, it's always kind of brave to only use 2 strings, right? Especially because you're like, I'm playing this guitar, I got all these strings. Shouldn't I play more? I can play bigger chords. Why don't I? Like that kind of thing. But they don't really worry about that, right? One guitar is playing this melody situation. And the other guitar is just kind of holding out these chords, almost giving the illusion like it's one guitar, right? One guitar holding out all these chords. Right? Have one guitar play the melody and some of the chords, and have the other guitar do the exact same chords, but just don't play the melody part. Just hold these out to give the illusion of like one really wide guitar, right? And then have the piano play that other part, right? So what exactly notes are these, right? guitar, with the bass guitar playing the low notes, right? There we go. Ah, sorry. Sorry, it's these ones. Oh, he's actually playing all of them. Neat. Okay. So the big thing here is kind of two guitars playing oh yeah. Two guitars, illusion of one. That's neat. With the bass guitar helping out. What is that main melody? Is that melody line, that guitar melody line is 3, 3, then 5, 3, then 6, 3, right? Then it goes, then 7, 5, slide down, right? So that's cool, right? It kind of has this like rising feeling. There's a hopeful feeling to the whole thing because of this, right? How can you not have like a bit of like whimsy and hope to this, right? What am I doing wrong? Here we go. Right? There is almost like a childhood whimsy and wonder to this in a funny way. Just the way that it rises, you know. Before falling down. And then once we get down there, we have all the way down to 1, then 2, 1, and that is when we get the minor 4. Right there. Which means, what is the chord progression for this whole thing? We got ourselves, let's see, I got so many colors, I should use them. What was that new one I kind of just added? Is it the purple here? Not that purple. Why do I have 2 purples? 1, 4, minor 4. That's the chord progression for this song. Cool. And I know that they do that. Like, unlike minor, on like Marty Bum and stuff too, you can see a lot that they are doing a good amount of kind of just like mixing and matching minor chords. It's very interesting. Neat. Cool. Let's keep going. Yep. I mean, it's so interesting, right? I mean, they're really just playing with rhythms here. They're just said, how do we take this B major chord and blow it up into these different rhythms? Well, one guitar is going to do this kind of stabby offbeat thing. And the other guitar is just kind of going to really just come in here and add accents and add the rhythms. And it's so simple, right? That's the thing that's interesting about it, is it's so engaging despite the fact that it's so simple. It's because they play with conviction, conviction, right? That's the thing. Hello, Leo. Hello, Alicia. What's going on, everybody? Leo, if you missed, we talked about the lyrics for a long time, like an hour and a half. We talked about the lyrics, so to definitely get on in there, if you're really interested in that in particular, right?
Oh, you might wear classic Reeboks or knackered Converse or tracky bottoms tucked in socks, but all of that's the point is not. The point's that there is no romance around there, and there's the truth that they can't see.
It's time to take a look at the bass, guys, I think, because that's it. I mean, how it's so simple, right? How do they make that so simple but so good, right? Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, I might wear classic Reeboks, a knackered Converse, a tracky bottoms tucked in socks, tucked in socks. Oh, that's what the point is not. The point is there ain't no romance around there. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, it's again, it's humble, right? It's just very humble. Like, you would never get, this is, yeah, it feels like humble and rustic. You would never get the Strokes just kind of doing this thing where they have a chord and they just go. Kind of has this like humble guitarness to it, right? That is really engaging for a lot of people, and it is just exactly what I was talking about earlier when I was trying to mark the distinction between like a band that like uses guitars versus a band that like, sorry, a band that's like a guitar band where they like arrange and play with guitar parts versus other bands that kind of more play like, they're not playing guitar as much as they're playing music that has been composed with notes in mind, and they just so happen to be playing those notes on a guitar, right? There's a big, kind of an interesting distinction there that is really, I think, quite important for a lot of, people. They might even not even realize how big of a change that might make in their perception of things, honestly. Right, exactly. So Leo, yeah, I agree completely, and that's why actually I'm gonna go bass mode now. I'm going bass mode. It is interesting, by the way, that when you briefly get that 7 up there, you really are getting you're kind of briefly hitting a B major 7, right? A major 7 in an Arctic Monkeys song. And this song, nonetheless, right? And that's part of the reason why it has that kind of beautiful little nostalgic feeling to it. Almost the melancholy, right? What's going on here? There we go. Woo! So we're in B major. Let's do it again. First time seeing your channel. I've been here for 2 hours already. Subscribed. Hey, Humbug93. Thank you very, very, very much, my friend. Your support really means the world. Got a lot of great stuff up already. I have a bunch of Arctic Monkeys shorts up already, talking about like some TBHC stuff, some like favorite worst nightmare stuff. Yeah, so check it out. I've got some good stuff out on Arctic Monkeys as well, and more to come. But thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a good time and sticking around even more. Thank you for sticking around as long as you have. And you know, we love all kinds of music. That's just what we're trying to do here, is promote deeper music appreciation. And we love the Arctic Monkeys too, as part of that. Oh, that's right. I'm not actually properly in bass mode yet. Boo doo boo dee doo 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 dee doo 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 dee doo ba da 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 do. Oh. Only got so many inputs on my interface. Cool. I'm just guessing. Boo dun dun boo dun. Boo dum bum boom boom. And is that the bass line there? Just off the top of my head, just straight from memory, by ear. Humbug, nice. Are you a musician, Humbug? It's great to see you here. Wow, yeah. Just off the top of my head, is that the bass line? That's how you know how iconic that bass line is, that I didn't even have to go listen to it on the record to kind of figure out by ear what it is. Like it's ingrained in your head. It's so good. Is Humbug my favorite album? I must admit I thought it was weak compared to the other two. Listened to it again a year ago. It's fun. Yeah. So Leo, you know, I think my favorite Arctic Monkeys album is Favorite Worst Nightmare. I think TBHC is probably a second, but there are a lot of them are really great. And I was in the same boat when I was younger, and I was like, again, when I was into Arctic Monkeys like in middle school, courtesy of a very, very cool older cousin of mine who introduced me to them. And this is before Humbug even came out. And when Humbug came out, I was not into it. And it took me years. Like, I think it wasn't until like college that all of a sudden I went back and I was like, wait a second, Humbug is awesome? Yeah, Humbug is awesome. So, I don't know. There's a lot of people like that. It took them a long time. A lot of people, it took them a long time to realize how awesome the album Humbug is. And it's funny that we know that came from Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age. He produced and helped kind of co-write a lot of that album. Yeah, Tranquility, super underrated and overhated. I would love to get into some like deeper discussion of it. I have a video right now discussing the lyrics of Ultra Cheese. I love that song. Highly recommend checking that one out. I've been playing guitar for about 15 years now and always learning. So this kind of stuff is awesome. Hey, that's awesome. I'm glad you're here, my friend. I do like the theory and like the technicality stuff, but like I do also like to focus a lot on the stuff that you can't put down on the page, right? Like we were talking about, that's why I write down, yeah, it's two guitars making an illusion of one. We were talking about like the kind of like the punky element. Yeah, all the stuff that's the stuff that's not on the page, the stuff you can't put down, the stuff between the notes is a lot of the stuff that I really like to put a focus on, because I think a lot of that is missing in a lot of discussion of you know, a lot of music discussion and appreciation, and God forbid reviewing. Ugh, don't get me started on music journalism in the modern age. Yeah, need that bass. Anyway, let's get to this. So what's going on with this bass line? That's really fascinating, right? The bass line is actually outlining that we are playing 1 major 7. Actually, bass line gives us the 1 major 7 here. All right? So the melody gives us this nice rising feeling, you know, going up and then hitting this B major 7. But then eventually we kind of move back down and hit this minor 4 modal mixture situation that kind of we're ascending and then always falling, right? And I do think that this feeling of like hopefulness that is represented in this, right? That had a hopefulness to it, right? And then that nostalgia being hit on that B major 7. And then the eventual falling back down. We're trying so hard to get all the way up here, and then we fall all the way back down. And it's like kind of more pensive knockdown the way that then we realize something sad. It almost represents this feeling of like looking at the scene and the community around you and trying to have love for the community around you and see the good in it. Remember, well, this is where you grew up with your childhood, right? But, you know, there's something about it I can't quite escape, the feeling that something's not right. Something's not right. Because when you looked over the lyrics, you could see that he's judging so much and seeing so much in the scene around him, and including in himself, judging what he doesn't like about it, about what he grew up in and what he himself and him and all his friends are involved with. Very, 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 very nice. In a really cool turn, the bass line gives us the major 7 there. Isn't that really cool? The bass line gives the major 7. Let's take a look at that bass a little bit more. The bass during the 1 is playing the like all these inversions and stuff. Boo doo 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 doo. 1 1 3. And he bounces up and goes 5 7 5, right? Boo doo 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 boo doo. It's like a riff, but also all these inversions all at the same time. It's very fascinating. And what are we playing up here again? I'm not a pianist, guys. Very interesting. And that feels very, you know, classic as an arrangement there. That, yeah, you got the rhythm guitar making this very interesting rhythm. Making a counter rhythm against the bass line. But it's really the bass line that's providing melody, right? The guitar is providing just like a rhythmic contrast, a groove, where the bass is playing a melody here, the riff, the thing that's really going to catch your attention. So that's a really interesting inversion of how many things normally go, you know? I mean, how many bands would do the opposite, right? How many bands would have the bass go, and then they have a guitar go up here? You know what I mean? That's what a lot of bands would do. So it's really, really awesome that Arctic Monkey so frequently just puts the bass like way up front in your face. Such a cool bass line. It got you into bass playing. Gerard, hell yeah, it's good to see you here, Gerard. And yeah. Actually, I think I started to get into bass too, specifically because I inherited a bass actually from my late uncle. Rip. I think Arctic Monkey's bass lines were really what I first got started on because they were just so cool. And of course, anyway, that's not the point. So then, same thing here. So the bass, that's also what we are seeing in there, is that major 7 in the 4 chord, because the bass, once again, is giving us the root, 3rd, 5th, and major 7th of the chord. However, in the scale degrees now, what we're getting is 4, that'd be 4, 6, going all the way up to the 3, down to the 1, right? And I really like that inversion too. I really like the inversion of how this kind of does this. This bass line does this thing. In the first chord, where we're on the 1 chord, we kind of go up and then come down a little bit, right? We're going up on the root, 3rd, 5th, then 7th, then back down in this interesting rhythm. And then we switch it up. Right? We're changing the rhythms around too. We're now, before, again, on the 1 chord, we went root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. In that order, then back down on the 5th. On this one, on that chord, we are going root, 3rd, 7th, 5th, right? We kind of go up and then back down here. And we change it up, you know? So the rhythms change from ba 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 ba. Kind of changes it around to be a little more syncopated there too, right? It makes these different chords feel very different in a very interesting way. Before, of course, going. And it's really interesting that the bass is also gonna give us that flat 6 scale degree there. When we go to our minor 4 chord, we indeed are going to the 4, then the 6, and then the flat 6 over our 4 chord. It's very, very, very interesting. We actually, so that really ends up giving us the minor 4 chord in first inversion. Very, very, very neat. Those inversions, right? I don't even think these guys knew what inversions were, but they knew they just wanted these bass lines and stuff to play these. So, that's really what's happening. So the chords, if you really were going to take a look at it, it'd really be like, yeah, right? Yeah. You're doing a major 7 on the 1 chord, and then you go to a 4 major 7. And you drop it. Right? Who would have thought that major 7s were such a big part of this song? I wouldn't have guessed that at all, right? I wouldn't have guessed that at all. Right? And there's truth there that they can see. They probably like to throw a punch at me. And if you could only see them, then you would agree that there ain't no romance around her. Nice. Wow, that sounds so cool like that, right? Well, they might wear classic Reeboks or knackered Converse or tracky bottoms tucked in socks. All of that, what's the point is not. The point is there ain't no romance around there. They really hammer on it. They want you to feel and know that they're hitting that minor right there. But all the point there is what is none. And there's the truth there that they can't see. They probably like to throw a punch at me. And if you could only see them, then you would agree that there ain't no romance around it. You know, I'm gonna assume we probably go into a 5 chord there. You know, oh, we definitely don't go to a 5 chord there. Gotta ask you something. Do you enjoy Franz Ferdinand's early work? Rewinding Arctic Monkeys' aggressive albums give me... So, Franz Ferdinand is interesting. I think of Franz Ferdinand as a dance band. I don't really think about them as, like, songwriters. I kind of more feel like they write dance music, but rather than making their dance music on, you know, like electric... digital workstations or computers and stuff like that, they make it on a band instrumentation, and I think that's really, really, really interesting. And it's cool and it's neat sometimes when you want that vibe. But like, I'm not all that like deeply into Franz Ferdinand. I respect them and I like them as part of the scene, but I've always thought of them more as like a dance band and like a legitimate like artistic force, honestly. And I don't mean that in a derogative way, like, oh, they're not artists. I just mean like, you don't necessarily get involved with their songs the way that you would get involved with somebody who's trying to like really say something with their music. You know what I mean? Right. Well, like you're saying, yeah. Okay, so I'm glad you said that, Leo. Franz Ferdinand concerts are legit art. Right, exactly. You listen to a Franz Ferdinand album and you get the sense that they wrote it specifically for the show, for the concert, and that's going to be awesome at the concert. And I think that's a great thing to do for a band, and I'm glad that they're doing it, carving out that niche for themselves. But it's not like music that I would like put on to just like listen to. You know what I mean? Yeah, different. I love the progression goes from E major to E minor right there at the end. Yeah, piano version. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that there was so much... Who would have thought that there was so much major 7? Romeo, sorry I can't stay. I didn't want to stop by. Leave a comment, thumbs up. Hey, thank you so much, Romeo. Thank you for being here. I'll say, all the people hanging out, if anyone wants to support, if you like what I do and you want to support, you can, you know, like, subscribe, leave comments, share, and I mean, like, really share. Like, just putting stuff up on your Instagram story doesn't do anything. I mean, like, really send it to people and share it with people directly who you think would enjoy this kind of stuff, and get them involved in the polls and stuff, because I really do just whatever wins on the polls is what we do. So if you want, you know, if you want us to do one of these on a song that you like, then get a bunch of people to that you're friends with that also want to see that song. Get them involved in the poll there. Anyway, I have original music you check out. You can check out my Patreon. You can take private lessons with me. You can also just leave a tip here on the live stream with the super thanks option. So thank you so much for being here. Let's get back into it, my friends. Let's get back into it with the chorus. It's time to go to the chorus. So cool. I just never would have thought that the major 7 aspect of this was so big. And from the bass line, no doubt. That's so cool. You get addicted. You get addicted playing that bass line. It's amazing how good they were from the beginning, considering they only started playing the instruments. Yep. Anyway, well, I think that is again part of that humility and that rustic aspect of what it is, and clearly like the bassist from the beginning, it was not Nick O'Malley, right? I think they started with a different bassist, and Nick joined later, right? How they really were just like, I don't know, man. Everyone else is having fun playing their instruments and doing stuff, and I want to play these kind of interesting riffs and stuff in my bass line playing. And what is the man, what is that the one I used to love? Ritz to the Rubble is like such an amazing bass line. I'm gonna make that little call out. Ritz to the Rubble, amazing bass line. From the Ritz to the Rubble. Anyway, chorus time. Go to the 6. 6. My family watches your videos. Too bad we live in France. It's 2 a.m. so we can't be like, oh, Leo, man. Hey, thank you so much for watching, my friend. And thank you for getting your family involved too. Hey, maybe I'll do an earlier live stream. I mean, maybe we'll do an earlier live stream for like Europe people. What do you think about that, right? I mean, I feel like 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time works decently, but I could definitely see, I mean, because you guys are 5 hours ahead, right? So it's probably really late for you. But thank you for being here nonetheless, and thank you for sharing it with your family. Teddy Picker bassline is so good. I was gushing about Fluorescent Adolescent earlier too. Woo! So much fun. You can't not have fun playing an Arctic Monkeys bass line, honestly. That's something the Arctic Monkeys have over the Strokes. For sure, right? Oh, man. Anyway, okay. Moving on. So go to the 6th chord, right? Go to the 6th chord then. Six, 5, 4. How are we doing? Not too far back. Wow, very through composed there, right? Neat. Alright, that is what it is. One more time, right? So we got the 6 on the bottom. On the bottom, 6, 5, 4. Then 1, 6, 2, 5. Tight. Very, very neat. Try to, let's see, Teddy Picker lyrics. What you know, a teddy picker? Not quick enough because I'll be quicker. Yeah, I try to sing Fresnel lesson sometimes, but with the combo speed and my huge ass Yankee Frenchy accent, it ends up drivel. Man, that's so funny. Alicia, that's a goated comment on the Teddy Picker lyrics there. Leo, dude, Leo, I actually sing. I do Fresnel lesson as part of my like bar gigs when I'm just like playing acoustic guitar in the corner, and I definitely got to slow it down a bunch because that's so fast. So good. Hey, my friend, LVP Tavo. I love you too, my friend. Love you too. I want to talk about the difference, the contrast in the bass, right? So the bass line in the, like, everything is contrasting from the chorus. Sorry, from the verse down to the chorus. Everything's contrasting, right? And so the bass line in the verse, of course, is this very plucky, syncopated, arpeggio-ish thing, you know? It's very rhythmic in that way. It's all over the place. A lot of kind of staccato-ness going on. And then we just totally change it. And we start holding things out, making them much more legato. And there's less notes, right? A lot less notes. That's another big thing. We love that 2-5-1 situation. That's perfect. Addicted to the strokes analysis that you saw on Reddit. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I'm so happy. I love, Reddit, man. It's really kind of where I feel like I got my start, was there on Reddit. Anyway, I really, I've been trying to kind of renegotiate my relationship to this whole thing because I kind of like burned out a little bit there, honestly. Especially at the same time that I was like, trying to work out my relationship with like jobs and capitalism, and I had this corporate job and all this stuff, blah 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 blah. But have found these live streams which I really enjoy doing, and that kind of has helped me I think make the videos more sustainable as well. Because, oh, by the way, Leave It in My Dreams video part 1 of an unknown amount, if not the only one, who knows, coming out later this week for sure. I got it filmed and I'm editing it and everything, so that's exciting. But I'm also going to start introducing I want to start doing a short again a week, right? So every week there'll be a live stream and a short, and then there will also be a video every 2 weeks. That's kind of the content schedule I think that would be really sustainable and sticking to me. So, my friend, the analyses that you've been seeing on Reddit, there'll be more of those coming. Everyone look forward to that. Oh, it's a funny thing, I'll tell them all tonight. I'll tell them all tonight, they'll never listen, because their minds are made up. Of course, it's all okay to carry on that way. Yes, my friend. Yes, my friend. Yes, indeed. So, that's the bass line there, really. I wonder if we're gonna see that. I think it's cool. Again, need I remind you, we started with B minor. How much you want to bet we're just like not even at all going to ever come back to that, right? But again, we started with that B minor thing. I don't wonder if we're ever gonna see that come back. I don't know if we are. Anyway, moving to the chorus of this song. Chorus. We know the bass line goes 6, 5, 4. Then it goes 1, 6, 2, 5. That's the bass line in the chorus. I'll write that down. Bass. You guys know Adam Neely? Bass. So now it's time to put the bass down and talk about what are the guitars maybe doing in the chorus here. In the same way. In the same way. Oh. That's how I heard about you today. I saw your post advertising on Reddit. Nice. That's awesome. Oh, good. Reddit came through, man. Reddit always comes through. So it's cool that you're here from Reddit. Chaos at the beginning. Waking my friends up with this one. Yes, absolutely. Here I am. Love Adam Manley. Good. Humbug, you are among good company here. It's great to have you here. Wow, I'm surprised someone came from the Reddit. I'm very, very happy to hear that. So, welcome. What were we looking at? We're just gonna look at what are the guitars doing in the chorus. Ugh. You know, so Humbug, my friend, since you are here and this is your first time, I will say that the interesting thing about these kinds of live streams that I was doing is, you know, sometimes I know the songs and I like know how to play them and we go from there, and sometimes I don't. And it's like much of the process of these live streams is actually literally watching the process of me sitting here and like transcribing by ear and discussing and analyzing and figuring out chords and scale degrees and everything and all that stuff. And sometimes it doesn't go by this quickly. I'll say sometimes I'm sitting like, what note is that? And I'll spend 20 minutes trying to figure out one note because this and that and this and that. And it's just a very interesting position to be in, honestly, to like be like here analyzing and transcribing without looking up tabs or sheet music or anything or whatever live every time. It's just a very interesting position to be in, and I think it's cool that I feel like I found a really nice community where people are really open to it and they enjoy watching the process actually happen. And so I'm grateful for y'all for being here and listening and feeling this. Yeah, teaching the teacher vibes. Yeah, and that's Adam Neely indeed. If that's what you were saying. But yeah, you know. That's what we do on the live streams is we really do analyze it together. That includes a lot of transcribing together as well. And it's weird how much you forget, right? Because you know how when you're in middle school or high school playing this bass line, you're like, I'm not gonna forget. And then you forget a couple, 10 years later, you're like, I literally don't remember at all on a guitar or a bass how that song goes. It's funny. Beep boop 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 beep boo doo ba ba dee dee dee. All right. So we go up to the 6. We go up to the 6 on that one as well. Wow, where am I? I gotta pull up my ID a little bit. Right, so we're on the key of B. Yeah, we go to the 6. An octave up, perhaps, though? I gotta get more. Maybe I need a bigger interface, because they keep kind of plugging and unplugging things. Ah! An octave up from that. So that is. So yeah. All pentatonics. All pentatonics, baby. So, again, simple, humble. Some chromatics there, my friends? kind of mimicking the bass line there. Okay, so. Yeah, right? We love a pentatonic moment with like a little bit of surprise. I can't believe there's a little chromatic in there. Look at you, Arctic Monkeys. Look at you go. Look at you go, you quirky little folks. You quirky little boys who are like 18 years old playing a little bit of chromatics there. That's so fun. Yep. Quirky little chromatic moment there. Very nice, kiddos. So let's do now the guitars. The lead guitar is definitely playing pentatonic, baby. Pentatonic, baby. We're going 6, 6, 6, 3, 6, 6, 5, 6, 6, 5, 3, 6, 6, 5, 3, 2. Kind of, where are the chord changes, I suppose, is the question, right? I'm flipping. Don't be mad, guys. I'm flipping. Because I'm realizing now I want to figure out what these chords are eventually, right? So the bass line, right? We go 6, da, da, da. Let me split you in half like this. We go 6. Not anywhere, 'cause it's all okay to carry on that way. Naked converse. So we got 6, 5, then we go 4 and 4 in the bass, and then we go 1, 6, 2, 5. So then on the top here, we go 6, 5, 6, 6, 5, la la sol, fa, mi, la sol, mi, 2, la 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 la. Nice. Okay. And then go la 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 la. Yeah, then we go do. Nice. Do, re, mi, la, da, da. And then we hit it with a nice little 1, and then a flat 2, little chromatic movement there, right? It's not really a flat 2 as much as it's a sharp 1. You guys have heard of a sharp 1 scale degree before? Because then we go to the 2, and then the 5. That's that melody on top, right? We are in the key of B major, doing a B major pentatonic, right? Need a little bit more. There we go. That's how much bass we need. let's see if we do that bass line and everything together, where the bass line is going a little bit higher, right? Alrighty, so let's see, how does this go? I think we're probably, I think if I'm using my ear correctly there, I think we are doing a major 4, minor 4 situation there, aren't we? Because we hit the 4 chord. I'm assuming we're doing... Yeah, that'd be my guess. And then we go to the and then we do what, like? And I just think we're probably doing the 5 chord in inversions, aren't we? To our B major, right? Alright, let me do it without the weird thing. Neat. That makes sense to you guys, right? Okay, so the other guitar is just playing chords, and they're very jangly, kind of hard to actually hear what they're doing. If he's going, well, I don't think he's playing that. I think. Ah, boy. It's kind of hard to hear exactly what those jangly little chords are doing. In it. A bit difficult to hear what those jangly chords are doing. I think he is getting really high up there. Maybe he is going. I think he is just doing that, isn't he? Oh no. He does not just go to a 5 chord there. He does something else. That's so. What the heck is he doing there? That's so interesting. You know, does he think he's going to? So I got a 2. What is happening here? So my guess. So here's my guess though: is knowing that these guys were not very schooled in music at this point. And I think they're probably are just following a lot of the bass notes. I think my guess is during that note, they probably are going to move to a 2 chord, would be my guess. Gotta head out, stop by and catch the tail end. Hey man, thanks for coming, Gerard. Thanks for hanging out. I think we're at the tail end of our live stream now here, aren't we? There's a weird... There's a weirdness in there. There's a weird little note in there. Maybe I'm gonna have to go slow it down. Mama, 3 Right? There's a weird note in there. F#7? I don't know, man. Maybe. F# minor 7. Well, that would be... Well, you think they're playing a minor 5 chord there? Are they playing a minor 5 chord? Really? How would this make sense, though? Let's see here. So here's what I like to do sometimes is we got to take to YouTube. We got to use the slowdown tool. And then just gotta really figure out what note that's being played there. All right, we gotta target what that weird note is. That's definitely in there. So there's definitely those 2 notes in there. I can hear those. Now, wait a second. What is this? Are they playing a... Are you... You're joking, right? What? You're joking. Really? Huh, I think you're right. I think it is an F sharp 7 there. You're right. I think he is because... Huh. You were right. So check it out. I mean, so this was interesting, right? This is how you figure that out, is you can hear, well, I know I got this note, the bass is playing this note, and then you listen for that weird part. Yeah, you gotta listen in slow-mo, find that weird note. You can follow it here. So that is so fascinating. All right, so they're definitely... Yeah, there's the A in there. And so I think what they're telling me, again, you gotta think to yourself, these are guys who don't really have much schooling in music at all. So a lot of these theory things, they're not going to make sense. That doesn't mean that they're bad choices. I mean, we love the song. It sounds great. It's just going to be unconventional, right? It just will mean we can't necessarily rely on the, the theory that we know, being like, oh, well, it should be this chord. It's obviously not. So that's why you got to go through, you got to listen and be like, okay, well, the bass is playing this note. I could definitely hear this note. But then I can also hear that weird A in there, right? And so you're thinking, oh, yeah, like you said, an F minor 7. So that's definitely what they're thinking, is they went up here to play this minor 7 on the 6th chord. And they're like, what happens if we just move that down? This thing of that, a lot of guitarists in the beginning of their journey really love to learn, and there's a reason why we love guitar, is moving shapes. We can move the shapes around. So they're probably just playing this chord, and they're like, let's just move this shape down. There you go. And you do end up getting this really interesting chromatic piece here. We get... That's really very interesting. It's a very interesting melody that you get there with the don't take lolly, 1 flat 7, 6 flat 6, right? Oh, well, it's a funny thing, funny thing, And of course, they can get around with it. They can get away with it however much they want, because the melody just doesn't even come close to the 7. Well, it does come close to the 7, but it doesn't touch the 7, right? You just kind of go, oh, well, it's a funny thing, Oh, I was playing it right. And it's a funny thing, Just doing all this do, re, mi stuff. 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, it's a funny thing, Mi, re, do, mi, do. So, over that, that's the melody that we're singing. So under that, if we want to play this interesting, like, Mixolydian thing briefly, we can just get away with that. And that flat 7 is going to add flavor without pulling away from the melody, right? Well, it's a funny thing, but tell them all tonight. Well, tell them all tonight, they'll never listen, because their minds are made up, of course it's all okay. Of course it's all okay to carry on that way. Something like that. Let's see here. I'm at the point in learning guitar, I think I'm probably breaking common conventional rules by moving shapes around in the same way you're talking about. Something you try to grow out of or keep exploring more? It's a great question, Ian. Honestly, I think, you know, as a guitarist, you know, the intersection of your journey as a guitarist does not, it will, you know, intersect with your journey as a songwriter, but that doesn't mean they have to affect each other in that way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to encourage you to break out of something that's working for you, right? I think guitarists who are really advanced guitarists, they get to the point where they are always thinking in shapes. You just don't necessarily see that they're thinking in shapes, right? Like if you're familiar with a caged system, that's definitely something to look into. And it is really awesome. That's the thing that's great about guitar is you can move shapes around like this. And in this case, it's probably a situation where they maybe even came up with the bass line first. And they're like, well, I have this shape here, and the bass line comes down here, so I'll just follow it with that shape. And it sounds good and it works. So who's to say that you should try to grow out of something like that? I don't think so necessarily. I would just, I guess, if I, without getting too deep into it, the brief advice I would give you is, you know, try not to let your guitar journey interfere with your songwriting journey too much. There is always time when just not knowing what you're doing and just throwing shapes around may get you something cool. And if it does get you something cool, then that's great. Then use it. That doesn't mean just because it doesn't fit your theory that it's wrong, right? Theory is often very problematically taught to students as rules. They're not rules. Theory is precedents and conventions, right? And so the convention in this case, the precedent and convention in this case would be we're in a major key, B major. So the chord built off of the fifth scale degree, F sharp, would be an F sharp major chord. That's the convention, that's the precedent. And that means that that's most of what has been done through history. That's a convention, a precedent, and that's a good thing to do. But if you can break that convention because you're just putting your fingers in a place, just because it doesn't work and fit with that convention doesn't mean it's wrong, and I would encourage you to use it and search for that. Here's the thing, 99 out of 100 times, just moving a shape around and just playing on that, it won't actually work. You'll be like, that doesn't sound good. I got to try something else. But 1 out of 100 times or so, you'll just put a shape in a place that technically shouldn't really work all that well based off a convention, but it will work in this case, in this 1 out of 100 cases. And that's awesome. And that's a great fun thing to do. So I would say keep learning guitar, keep working on all the different types of shapes you can learn about. Learn a little bit about the music theory of like the Roman numeral system and like how to build chords from different types of scales, and then be open-minded. Finally, and this is probably the most important part, be open-minded to the opportunities of when the thing that you're writing or playing around with doesn't necessarily fit convention, right? Don't immediately write it off and say it's wrong because it doesn't match the convention, right? So the question, something to try and grow out of or keep exploring more. I mean both, right? If you're trying to get better at guitar, it's nice to learn how the different shapes will apply to different keys and apply them there. Should you keep exploring it? I mean, you should always be open to exploring new things and seeing that. So I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but I do think there's some wisdom in there that I have said. But it's very complicated, right? Guitaring, songwriting, different things. Theory, different thing, and it's a very inherently and intrinsically linked ecosystem there that is very interesting, and there's a reason why guitar is the way it is. It's very interesting. So there you go, Ian. Let me know if that very rambling answer was sufficient for you. like the idea of thinking of the guitar progress and songwriting different skills that might not always be in agreement. Exactly. That. Thank you for understanding what I was saying, Ian. That what you just wrote there was a much more eloquent and concise way of saying what I just said there. Yeah, they could be conflicting. They might not always be in agreement. Absolutely true. And again, theory is not rules. Theory is precedents and conventions that get you in a certain style. That's what theory is. But you can always break those conventions. Okay, so, you know, it's a funny thing, you know. I'll tell them all tonight. I'll tell them all tonight. They'll never listen because their minds are made up of course. It's all okay. I feel like it does something weird there, too. Let's keep listening.
Tell them if you like, we'll tell them all tonight, they'll never listen, because their minds are made up, of course it's all okay, to carry on that way.
Oh. I feel like he holds that there, doesn't he? They'll never listen, because their minds are made up, of course it's all okay. That's so. Why do I feel like he stays on that chord there? Because their minds are made up, of course it's all okay to carry on that way. You think they're actually doing that there? I think it's safe to say he is straight up doing a 5 chord there. All right, so what the heck is going on here in the middle? Well, let's see. Let's play around with this. We're doing we got a 6 chord, and we have a 6 7, and a minor 7. That's so interesting, right? So what are we playing there? We are playing G sharp, I guess. Would that be G sharp? F sharp, G sharp, yeah. So we're playing G sharp minor 7, then we're playing F sharp minor 7. That's very interesting. And then we go to our 4 chord, and then we go to our 4 minor chord. So we're playing E major and then E minor, and we definitely go to our 1, which is our B major, and then we definitely go back to our, oh, I did this wrong. There you go. And then we go back to our 6, but now lower. So that's a G sharp minor. And then we go to our 2, which is going to be a C. Oh, 2 chord. And then the 5, which is our F sharp major. That's so interesting, actually. I mean, again, that's the type of chord progression that you really only end up with when you have kids who don't really know anything messing around and they come up with something great. Again, just a testament to the humility, the rusticness of this, right? I'm just gonna double check. I'm just gonna double check on like ultimateguitar.com or something. Oh, look, Jorge's got one on the chords in the chorus because just want to double check. Yep. No, it looks like we're right. Yep. Yep, so we were right. Those are indeed the chords there. Very, very, very interesting. All right, so, you know, it's a funny thing, you know. We'll tell them all tonight. We'll tell them if you like. We'll tell them all tonight. They'll never listen because their minds are made up. Of course, it's all okay to carry on that way. Yeah, there you go. So that's it. That's what we did. That's the song, baby. At least the chorus. I think we're pretty much done for today. We've done a little bit over 3 hours, and we found out some very interesting stuff. The thing that's cool about this, songwriting wise, is that is the texture. How much the texture totally changes. Totally changes. Yeah. As we change into the chorus, right? So the verse has two chords, 2.5 chords, just back and forth, just the 2 chords back and forth. You know, well, 3 chords, right? We got the 1, and then the 4, and then the minor 4, right? Very nice with this bass line. And then everything switches up, right? Now we're not playing those chords and those rhythmic, stabby textures anymore. We move to like a riff, a pentatonic riff in the top. And then we move to chords that just move so much faster with the bass line that's more legato and held out and sustained and stuff, you know, like everything changes. The whole texture, the drums, the bass, the rhythmic, the harmonic rhythm as in how fast the chords change, and then the texture of the guitars, everything changes from the verse to the chorus, right? Just big massive change from here to there in everything changes. And we're using different chords. I mean, we are using a little bit of similar language in the sense that we do have the 4 and then the minor 4. We do sneak that in there in the middle, which is really cool. It goes to show that they are trying to think about what they're doing. They, oh well, last time I did an E and then I did an E minor, I'm just going to do that again here, and if it works, it works. We do have the interesting bit of the minor 5/7 chord, right? So oh tonight it's a funny thing. Oh, sorry, funny thing tonight. That is, yeah, that's right. It's gonna be an F minor 7. That's so weird. It almost doesn't sound right when you play it on piano, right? Oh, you know, it's interesting. It's a funny thing, you know. We'll tell them all tonight. We'll tell them all tonight. They'll never listen because they're mad and made up. Of course it's all, of course it's all okay. Oh wait, it's 'cause it's all okay to carry on their way. There you go. Yeah, so what's the point of this minor 5 here? Flavor. I feel like just that, you know? Just flavor. The minor 5, it just kind of adds this like melty lower flavor, right? Because normally the B major, you get the A sharp, right? Or, yeah, it'd be an A sharp. B major, A sharp. But then with that minor, the F sharp minor, you get an A natural. So just a touch of the Mixolydian there is really interesting, but it doesn't function Mixolydian wise, right? It's not about functioning like doing a Mixolydian thing. It's just adding that little bit of flavor, just that little bit of like melty flavor, you know? Yeah, tonight, it's a funny thing tonight. What happened if you go from that minor 5 back there? Interesting. Yeah, that's it. I think they just liked the flavor that added, having it be a minor chord instead of a major chord. Yep. Never seen your channel before. I just want to say I appreciate going through this album, one of my favorites. Hey, thank you so much for coming, my friend. I'm happy you're here. We're hopefully going to go through more of this album. I mean, it's a great album. I love it. And thank you for appreciating the effort. I always try to put in as much effort as I can to all the streams because, you know, I want to put effort into the world with this kind of stuff. I feel like so much of this music, this genre, this world, this culture doesn't get the analysis that I think it deserves for how good it actually is, honestly. So I'm happy to put that out into the world, and I'm happy that I have people like you who are there to receive it and resonate with it. So thank you for being here. With that much changing, how do they tie it together? Is it just one shared chord? With that much changing, how do they tie it together? Yes, Drake, you are correct. Drake, you are correct. It very, very briefly makes you feel like you are tonicizing E major, right? I don't know why I'm putting this away here. So I'm going to bring this back up. So exactly. So if you were in the key of E major, if you're in the key of A major, you'd have this chord as the 2 chord and that chord as the 3 chord, right? So it's kind of like E major, 3, 2, and then we kind of hit 1. But then now that 1 is actually the 4, make it a minor 4, back to our B major, our actual 1 chord, right? So yes, it does functionally feel kind of like we're heading to E major just for a moment. I don't think that's what they were thinking when they wrote this song, though. I don't think they were thinking, oh, I want to make it feel like we're going to E major for a second. Because it doesn't really feel like you're settling on E. It just almost kind of makes it feel more comfortable. I wouldn't say it's tonicizing E as much as it's just kind of like focusing on it for a second. I don't know. It's tough to say. I think you nailed what you said before. They were just kids, young kids experimenting, going with what they thought sounded good. I agree. I do think that's really what they were doing. And it's also true, though, that, you know, the other thing that I say is music theory and this kind of stuff is like, you know, with cooking, it's like just because a chef doesn't know what the Maillard reaction is, doesn't mean it's not happening, right? So Drake is right in saying that making the F sharp minor, making that F sharp chord and F sharp minor does temporarily make you feel like you've landed here on the E major. That is true. It does make you feel that way. That they did not, I don't think they intended it to be that way, but that is the feeling you get, right? I mean, what if we didn't do that? It'd probably sound weird, right? It'd be like, oh, well, you know, like what if we did the F sharp major, right? Well, you know, it's a funny thing, you know, we'll tell them all tonight, we'll tell them all tonight. It doesn't really sound as good, honestly. You know, it's a funny thing. Like it does work much better to just have that F sharp there. And again, I think if you think about the process, I think they probably wrote these chords and then he was writing the melody on top of it. So of course the melody is going to work well with that chord that they chose. Yeah, because I think that's how they did it. So, you know, even though these were kids just experimenting and they kind of ended up with some stuff that doesn't really necessarily make a lot of sense in regards to the, you know, conventions and precedents that we know, you could tell that they put thought into what they were doing. Again, when you're talking about the textures and the contrast and changing it around from, you know, the verse to the chorus. They definitely thought about those elements. They thought about the structure. Things they did not think about. They did not think about, well, what should this chord be in the key of B? They were just like, no, this is the chord shape I'm doing, and I'm just moving it down here because whatever, because I barely know what I'm doing here, but it sounds good. But I'm ambitious. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm very, very, very ambitious. And we're going to make stuff that sounds great, and that's a great thing to do. The same way they were doing this B minor thing before. This is B minor, and then we just hit it. Then we just hit it straight up with the B major. B minor to immediately B major, right? There's this, again, this humbleness, this humility, this rusticness to this type of stuff from bands like this that you're like, it's so charming. Only somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing would even come up with this stuff. And it's awesome. And it's great. And we love it for it because it's not that they not what they didn't know what they were doing. That doesn't matter. What matters is they had something they wanted to say in music. And they figured out how to say it in a way that works for them. That's the important thing. And, you know, the lyrics, again, like we're talking about, those lyrics are awesome. All right. Any last Shadow Puppets Age of Understatement plan next? Let's see here. I mean, I like the last Shadow Puppets a lot. I would be down to do some last Shadow Puppets. However, like I said before, I always just let the polls decide. Let's see. I like to think it's almost a foreshadowing of the music they would go on to make all these leads later. Okay, yeah, they definitely, Alex Turner and the boys definitely eventually learned some music theory and figured some stuff out, because you wouldn't be able to do some of the stuff that they're doing now without knowing a little bit. But they never really lost that spark and that charm of being a bit outside of the box. You know what I mean? The change between the B minor and the B major, having the E major, E minor, creates a syrup between the 1 and the 4 chords. Drake, a little bit. I mean, the B minor riff in the beginning, I think is just, it's the only time in the song that we do the B minor thing. Other than that, we're very, 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 very solidly in B major for pretty much the whole time. I wouldn't really personally attribute the B minor riff in the beginning as like lending any amount of like credence or legitimacy or water to the theory that they were like purposefully trying to like obfuscate the 1 and the 4, like where's the tonal center. I do not think that that's what they were going for, nor do I think it sounds like that. I would not say this song sounds multipolar and syrupy in that sense. It is certainly the case though that they were focusing on the 1 and the 4 chord. That is definitely true. All right, so I'll tell you what though. We are definitely at the end for today. What I want to do is say, well, I mean, we didn't all the way finish this song. We could be done right here, I think, if we wanted, but I think, I don't think there's one other full live stream left in analyzing the song. So I think we'll probably do part 2 I think we'll probably do part 2 of A Certain Romance for like the first half of the next Wednesday live stream, and then we will start a new song. I think this will be the first time we'll do that, but I don't think we're gonna have enough left to go over in another live stream. Okay, so let's take a look at what's coming up. Monday, February 19th. I don't know why I took these on. Monday, February 19th. That is minor but major Monday. We are doing Call It Fate, Call It Karma, Part 2. Hell yeah. And then, the next one, we are looking at Wednesday the 28th. Wednesday, February 28th. We are going to do A Certain Romance Part 2 plus start a new song. I could tell you there's not enough left for us to do on that song, on Certain Romance, that'll get us to the next one. Start a new song. Look out for the poll. Yep, look out for a poll on the new song for that one. All right, everybody, there you go. Let's see here. Pump for the next Call It Fate video. Minor but major Mondays. I love that it's become a thing. Minor but major Mondays, man. I'm gonna make t-shirts. I'm gonna make merch that's like minor but major Mondays. Oh, this is a great band, by the way. Los Dinos, otherwise known as Last Dinosaurs. Last Dinosaurs is a great band. You should check them out. So there you go, everybody. Thank you for coming. Ending Call It Fate, Call It Karma Part 1 right before the G chord that starts with the chorus has left me with blue balls for a week. Dude, I know, it's so good. And don't worry, actually, I was able to keep the chords. These are the Call It Fate, Call It Karma chords for the verse there. I was able to keep that. Yeah, dude, it's so good. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you Monday, February 19th for Call It Fate, Call It Karma Part 2, Minor but Major Monday, and then Wednesday, February 28th for A Certain Romance Part 2, plus the start of a new song. So look out for the poll on that so we can vote on what song we're going to do next. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you want to support what I do, like, subscribe, leave comments, check out my other videos, share it with people that you think would like it. You know, don't just like share it on social media, like on your story. Nobody really cares about that. Like, really send it to people who you think would be interested in this stuff. And then you can also I do private lessons. I have some original music. You can support me on Patreon, or you can leave a super thanks, a tip right here on the stream. So thank you so much for watching. Leave it in my dreams video coming later this week. Get ready, everybody. Thank you for being here. I love the Act the Monkeys. I mean, it's such a different thing, you know. It's like analyzing this stuff is just, it's very different than analyzing some of the other stuff, and it's just so fun and refreshing. And I also really enjoyed spending a little bit more time on lyrics and stuff today, so that was great. Thank you for being here, everybody. See you next time. Peace.